Hello, we finally made it here. So this video that you're watching is actually a re-edit of 3 live streams I did reacting to this podcast, and it was featuring Jessie Lee Ward's assistant that she had throughout her entire cancer battle. Her name's Carissa. So the reason I'm editing everything together and making one video is because I had to split the lives into 3 parts because my internet was not working at my house. So I thought it'd be easier and more accessible to people if I just put it all in one easier to watch thing. Plus with live streams, there's a lot of distractions. The middle of the podcast, a good chunk of it anyway, is like a snooze fest. It was of Carissa talking about herself and her interests and her family and stuff, and not to be mean or anything, but like, we ain't here for that. We were here for the tea on Jessie Lee, quite frankly. So I cut all that out, basically edited down about 5 hours of footage into around 2 hours. So that way it should be much more consumable to be able to watch the podcast episode and also get my commentary on it. So that is why we're here. If you're unaware of who Jessie Lee Ward was, I have a ton of content about her, but most importantly, I actually have a 4-part series that I made on this channel about 6 months after her passing. If you didn't know, she had stage 4 cancer. It was like just the whole roller coaster ride, but I have a 4-part series going through all the people in her life who used and abused her and her cancer diagnosis in her final 8 months. It's a lot, but if you are unaware of who this woman is and what her story is, I highly recommend watching those. And there's other videos too. If you just search Jessie Lee Ward with Savannah Marie, you'll probably find a lot of stuff. Even before she had cancer and stuff, she was a multi-level marketing distributor, self-proclaimed #1 network marketer in the entire world, which is debatable, but she had been on our radar for a really long time and had a very quick and unfortunate passing. It shook a lot of people to their core. We're about a year and a half out from her passing, and this podcast plopped into my lap where her assistant is telling her story. So I figured this is something that those of us who have been following Jessie Lee for a long time would be interested in seeing. So before we get into all of that content, just make sure that you're hitting the like button on this video, subscribing if you haven't, because I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. We're at 95.5 right now, so it's quickly approaching. Thanks to you guys, I really appreciate it. But if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, please make sure you have. Now with that, let's get into the edited live streams. She was the self-proclaimed #1 network marketer in the entire world, Jessie Lee Ward. She's the same lady who took her team, she was in Prove It. She took her team to Colombia on, like, essentially kidnapped them, and that was like a whole thing. And then she found out that she had stage 4 cancer right after that trip, and then passed away 8 months later. So the video we're watching today is actually going to be a podcast. Thank you to one of my mods, Katie. She sent me this yesterday. This podcast episode came out 2 weeks ago. It was posted in Jessie Lee's subreddit, but it had like no comments. Like, I don't even know if it had upvotes. Like, no one saw it. It's like, it has 2,000 views. And you know what's wild is that I feel like the anti-MLM movement has kind of been keeping her name alive more than anyone else in her life. I guess every once in a while when it's relevant, like Courtney Shepherd, she talks about Jessie Lee all the time, but I think that's because she was her stalker while she was alive, you know, and never really got over that. But I feel like so many of them just don't talk about her anymore unless it benefits them. It's been a year and a half since she passed away. Some of these details are foggy in my mind, and there might be some things that I'm forgetting and might not have the context for when we're talking about this. But I do want everyone to at least remain a little bit respectful in the chat. Despite how much of a monster, really, Jessie Lee Ward was in the world of network marketing, it's very, very sad, and it was so unexpected the way it happened. We all found out that she had cancer through Eric Worre. It was super weird, and it just happened so fast. Yeah, she didn't do chemotherapy. She had surgery. She had like a foot of her intestines removed or something like that, but obviously it had metastasized. I think they found that it had moved to the lymph nodes or something. Didn't she have her lymph nodes, some of her lymph nodes removed also? But then after she had her surgery, she was like, nope, I'm gonna heal from this naturally, and didn't see like actual oncologists anymore. She was doing a bunch of holistic shit and passed away 8 months after her diagnosis. So it's very sad. I know that everyone has different feelings about her. A lot of people are just like out here like straight up being like, whatever, she sucked and she deserved it. I think that's out of line to say that kind of thing. Jessie Lee was only 34 years old when she died. I'm turning 34 next month. It took me a while to talk about Jessie Lee's death because of like her proximity, I guess, and age to me. Like, it freaked me out. I had like a really unexpected and weird reaction to her death. I don't know how to explain it. It was a weird, like, surreal experience. And I know I'm not the only one who felt that way after she died. It was a really, really weird time. Alan, yeah, as others have said, you can be both a victim and a perpetrator. And I think that's true for Jessie Lee. Like, she definitely was. Again, I have a 4-part docuseries about all the people who fucked her over. She spent $500,000 of her own money. That's the estimated amount. I don't think we have an exact number. But around $500,000 of her own money on holistic shit. And she died after 8 months, so it's like, it clearly wasn't very effective. It's okay to have your own opinions and stuff. Let's not go off and be like, I'm so glad that she's not here anymore, like, because that's fucked up. She was 34, dude. Like, it's just so, yeah, a mind fuck, Nina. That's a good way to put it, dude. Yeah, no, I'm about to be the same age Jessie Lee was when she passed away, so it's just like really, I don't know, it hits close to home in a weird way. This lady here is Carissa. Now, Carissa is someone that I never really knew much about. I knew who she was. Like, I knew her name when Jessie Lee would say it. Like, Carissa. She was her assistant during the entire cancer diagnosis and battle and stuff. This lady's the podcast host. Again, the podcast is called Beyond the Monster, or Behind the Monsters, or Beyond the Monsters? Beyond the Monsters. I wanted to read this lady's background just so everyone knows. We confront trauma, expose hidden truths, and give a voice to those who have been silenced. Our host is a woman who has dedicated her life to fighting for others while battling her own monsters. Shell, I guess is her name, Shell Bain, is a lifelong survivor of trauma, depression, and recurring PTSD with over 2 decades of experience specializing as a licensed medical professional in psychiatry, forensics, addiction medicine, and trauma recovery. She's founded and operated inpatient and outpatient rehab centers, led life-saving interventions, and worked as a first responder in medical and psychiatric emergencies. Working alongside top professionals in medicine, law, and trauma recovery, Shell is dedicated to breaking cycles of addiction, abuse, and mental illness. Now, through Beyond the Monsters, she shares raw stories, expert insights, and unfiltered truths, proving that even in darkness, there is a way forward. She's been there and knows the weight of those monsters. She's here to prove you don't have to fight them alone. So that's the backstory of this podcast, I guess. So that's probably an important trigger warning I should be giving you guys too. But it sounds like this podcast kind of specializes in like mental health stuff. Yeah, take care of your mental health. If you need to pop out, then do so. It's very important that you put yourself first and everything. Because yeah, everything I have watched to this, it does get heavy. Okay, without further ado, let's go.
Hi, and welcome back to Beyond the Monsters. She's going to tell us her story of, single mom, suffered with anxiety, depression, OCD, many different mental health components that many of us can relate to. And, luckily for her, someone amazing came in her life, and she's going to tell that changed everything for her. So she's going to tell us a story about what she struggled with.
Thank you.
Who came into her life, and how it's changed everything for
guys.
her. So, Carissa, welcome to Beyond the Monsters.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yes. Give us a little bit of your story and, how it
Liz.
led to where you are today.
Yeah. Well, I'll start where I think is the easiest, jumping point, and it's how I met this person. So I was the personal assistant to a multimillionaire entrepreneur, multiple business owner, and network marketer. And her name is Jessie Lee Ward. The way that I met her had everything to do with me wanting to get out of my comfort zone. I had been about 2 years into my separation. Had a baby at 21, had a separation at 25, moved multiple states. Amidst having anxiety, depression, OCD, I mean, you can imagine the mental toll it would take on anybody.
Yes, for sure.
So once I was 27, I started kind of just getting my feet on the ground, really, after a separation for anybody. It's a lot to go through. And I had been working from home for 3 years, and I just was like, my daughter's in kindergarten now. I don't want to work from home anymore. I want to get out into the world, get back out there.
Yeah.
So I had literally made the conscious decision that I wanted to change my path. Went onto Facebook and found an ad, or really just a post, looking for a personal assistant, highly active entrepreneur, must be, all the requirements. And I just said, hey, I think I would be perfect for this.
I don't know if this is like common knowledge, but you're telling me that Jessie Lee just like went on Facebook and was like, I need a new assistant. I don't remember what the situation was, but Jessie Lee was talking about her assistant before Carissa, and she's like, I fired her. I don't remember what it was. So she just went and did a Facebook status and was just like, hey guys, I need a new assistant. Shouldn't it be a little bit more official than that?
They interviewed me, and it was like fate. She liked me, and I liked her, and I was going to start in the new year. It was 2 weeks before Christmas or so. So
okay.
Put my 2 weeks in at my job that I had. Don't know anything about her. I've never heard of her before.
Okay.
You'd never heard of her? That's weird.
Really.
How would you find the Facebook status being like, I need an assistant? How would you find that if you didn't know who Jessie Lee was?
Just wanted a change of pace. And man, she gave it to me. I can imagine if you were sitting next to your assistant, or maybe you have had people in your team, you really just kind of have to dive in and just get to know each other, and it goes the more you know as you go. I started working with her January 2nd. About 2 weeks into my employment, she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer.
Can you fucking imagine?
At 34 years young, she had just launched her business coaching platform, which was doing amazing. She'd already surpassed $1 million in sales. And she'd started it in November. So if that tells you anything,
wow.
She was just meant to do what she did. And she
Is she talking about the Empire like coaching and stuff? She only had started that the November before she got diagnosed? That's wild. I had no idea. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. What a job start, Liz. Exactly. Like, can you imagine you're jumping into a new personal assistant position with someone you supposedly didn't know who they were, had never met. 2 weeks into it, they're like, by the way, I have stage 4 fucking cancer. Holy shit, man. What I get from Carissa is, like, she's young. I don't know exactly. She's younger than me, but that's not saying much because I'm getting old. She seems like a genuinely good person. I don't think she was in MLM stuff before this. I don't know if she's in it now. I do think that Carissa seems like a really kind-hearted person, so.
2 weeks in, her and I don't really know each other. I get the call because when she went into, I'm fast forwarding here, I'm sorry, but.
No, you're fine.
We don't really know each other. I'm looking for MRIs that will service her. I'm looking for, gastroenterologists, everybody you can think of that you're going to need when you get this type of diagnosis. So a couple of months pass by, she finally gets surgery. And before she goes in, I'm her PA. So I'm filling out hospital forms for her like I always do. And I said, who do you want as your emergency contact? And she goes, nothing's going to happen. Just put you. And I was like, all right. Put myself down. Mm-hmm. That was the end of that. She had surgery.
Hi, Marie.
About
thank
3
you.
3 days later, she was let go to go home. They called me because I was listed as her emergency contact. And her doctor told me everything. He said, you're the person she's got listed here. And it's my duty to make sure that she understands the severity of her diagnosis. And he said, unfortunately, when she left, I just didn't feel like she understood how serious this is. And he let me know that she had until Christmas. This is March 2023.
This is a lot. First of all, yes, Jessie Lee was very religious. She was always talking about Jesus and shit. She fast-forwarded a lot. She's like, sorry, I'm fast-forwarding a little bit. She fast-forwarded a lot. When Jessie Lee found out about the diagnosis originally, didn't she have to, like, hit up a bunch of people, like, random people, to be able to get into, what the fuck was the name of that that hospital. Oh, MD Anderson, thank you. Apparently that's like a really prestigious hospital, and I think she had to literally like get someone who had connections to someone at MD Anderson to get her into it. She was saying like everyone at MD Anderson was so rude. She called them chemo pimps. It was like a whole ordeal to even get her into MD Anderson in the first place, and when she did actually go, I think she brought Courtney with her. The doctors were just like, yeah, you got 8 months to live or whatever it was they said, and she was like, we just left. We're like, we're out of here. So Carissa's talking about how she got the call and the doctor was like, you need to make sure that she understands like how serious her condition is. I feel like also, was it Jessie Lee's lawyer? Like Carissa went to Jessie Lee's lawyer and was like, how are we going to talk to Jessie Lee about this? Like, her doctor just told me she's going to die by Christmas. Like, how the fuck do I talk to her? I remember it was Carissa and the lawyer. They almost did like a little intervention with her, like, hey, you know, the doctor says this is pretty fucking serious. Yeah, the doctor was right. Of course the doctor was right. That's part of this whole thing that I find so wild, is that she had just fired her last assistant. Carissa took her place, and within 2 weeks, she's like, first she was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be an assistant to this lady, this multimillionaire who just has a bunch of businesses and needs help. Suddenly it's like, now I'm an assistant to a multimillionaire who has fucking stage 4 cancer. I think it's important to recognize like what Carissa's role was in all of this, like what she was really thrown into this to do, you know, against, I don't want to say against her will, because she could have left, but obviously she didn't. She's stuck by Jessie Lee the whole time. Because I don't think a lot of people would stay in that situation. They'd be like, I'm not qualified to help you treat your cancer. Like, I applied to like help you make phone calls and send emails and shit and like organize your planner and stuff. Like, I'm not qualified to help you fight cancer, like, you know?
A little bit about Jessie Lee is, if she decided something, it was. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I'm beating stage 4 colon cancer. I'm beating it right now. I'm not going to die from this.
Well, she spent her whole life like manifesting her own success, you know? I think she got to a point where she had gotten so successful and had contributed that success to like all the manifesting she was doing, you know, following The Secret and shit. That by the time she got this diagnosis, she was like, I'll just do what I always do and just manifest that I'm going to cure myself, basically. I honestly, you know, I'm not in Jessie Lee's head. None of us were. But based on what I know about the lady, I honestly think that that's pretty much what happened. She lived her entire life getting everything she wanted, setting a goal, and then surpassing that goal tenfold, and then being like, it's because I manifest it. It's because I put it out into the universe. So her whole idea was like, well, my treatment for my stage 4 cancer is going to be the same thing. That's what I think. Yeah, thinking your mindset can do everything. Exactly. I think she did think she was invincible, but I mean, obviously she wasn't. It's wild because she never really got a chance to like be humbled either. Unless she was in her final days, but none of us really know that. Because even like a week before she passed away, if you guys remember, it was a live stream she did where she was in Malibu getting treatment, and she was there with Avi in a hotel room, like rocking back and forth on the floor because she was in so much pain because she had all that fluid buildup that end-stage cancer patients get.
Oh, ow, it hurts to laugh, but sometimes you just gotta put a smile on your face, my friends.
And she was like crying because she got a call from one of her holistic doctors being like, your scans are great, everything's great. And she was like, thank God. And then she was dead a week later. When I'm telling you guys, like, you really should go and watch my series on her. There's 4 parts to it. I did it early last year. Not to toot my own horn, but I think it's like a really detailed dive into why shit happened the way it did. Not only just her mindset and how she had lived her life up until that point, but the people that she kept around her were also contributing to this weird manifestation. There's so many factors that go into just the way that she really tricked herself into thinking she was okay up until the very last fucking minute. These doctors were like, yeah, you're fine. And then she would pass away a week later. It's like, how was there nobody telling you? I mean, like, all of the doctors at MD Anderson, all of the professional, like, real oncologists she was seeing were all telling her the same shit. I think one of them told her she had until October. She passed away in September, so she didn't even make it till October. And then, as Carissa just said, one of them told her that she would only make it till Christmas. They commodified her. They did. They did. And to be fair, to play devil's advocate, I think a lot of people would say that, oh, the anti-MLM movement did too. It's just wild because I feel like we have given her more compassion than her own friends did. They were just using her for money and clout. Not surprised at the denial. I'm not either. I'm sure, I've never had cancer, but I can imagine that that's a common thing that a lot of people probably go through, to really be in denial when you get that kind of diagnosis. I'm sure that's like a normal thing. But with Jessie Lee, it was like so much worse than anyone else because she literally thought she could just manifest it away and heal herself by just drinking carrot juice 4 times a day, and putting coffee up her butt. No, I'm not even fucking kidding. She did coffee enemas, wasn't it like multiple times a day? And she would live stream while doing coffee enemas, and then she would live stream while doing her juicing. And she would live stream while she was in like what is that called? Hyperbolic chamber? Hyperbaric, yeah. Sorry, what's hyperbolic. Like hyperbole, I'm stupid. Hyperbaric. Hyperbolic, I'm stupid. Okay, she had one of those in her house or some shit. Anyone who was telling her the truth and telling her like how serious her condition was blocked out. If someone went against like, hey, Jessie, maybe you should take this seriously, she would cut them out of her life and call them haters.
And she was like, I'm beating stage 4 colon cancer. I'm beating it right now. I'm not going to die from this. I'm healed. And it was beautiful and empowering to be around. But for her doctor, he was like, I don't think you understand. And he's, scientific mindset. And
scientific mindset, you mean like living in fucking reality?
I got that phone call and was like, how do I tell her this? At this point, in a way, we're still strangers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now she's sick at this point, like physically.
No, oh my gosh, she was in the best shape of her life.
It is wild for her to be saying this a year and a half after she passed away. If you need a refresher, Jessie Lee had lost a lot of weight really fast. And I know in one of my videos in my series about her, I posted screenshots of like a chat that me and Erin had before the cancer diagnosis, when I literally was asking Erin, like, is she okay? Like, trigger warning, ED. But I literally asked Erin, I'm like, do you think that she has an ED? Because she lost so much weight so fast. She had been in Prove It for so long. She had been in Prove It for years. And Prove It's like for ketones, for weight loss and all that shit. And she never lost weight. Like, she was always in the gym. Like, on and off. She would go through phases where she would be a gym rat and she'd be posting gym selfies and stuff. She'd be exercising a lot, drinking all these ketones or whatever, and nothing seemed to change for her until out of the fucking blue, over the course of like 6 to 8 months, she dropped so much weight. And I even remember at one point, because I used to talk about Jessie Lee a lot, like way before her cancer diagnosis. And I remember at one point, like right before the diagnosis, I made a new video about her or something. And people were commenting like, oh my God, like I didn't even recognize Jessie Lee. Like she doesn't even look like the same person. And she didn't. She looked so different. She did get her teeth done. She got veneers and stuff. So she looked different in that way too. But mostly the biggest thing was that she lost so much weight. I'm not a doctor. I'm not her doctor. So like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it was definitely because of colon cancer. But I think we all know, right? It's a very common side effect. They say like, if you suddenly drop a bunch of weight really fast, like you need to see a health professional because that's not normal. That can be a sign of some serious illnesses. In the case of colon cancer, it's basically like her body was just kind of like starving itself to feed this fucking tumor that was growing in her butt. Like, sorry to sound a little goofy about it when I say it that way, but that's literally what was happening. Like, a year and a half after she has passed away, to hear someone who was so close to her in her life be like, she was in the best shape of her life. What, because she got skinny? And that was at no fault of her own. She got skinny because she had fucking colon cancer. So no, she wasn't in the best shape of her life. She was the skinniest she had ever been in her life, but skinny does not equal healthy. And I think that's a really important lesson that Jessie Lee taught a lot of us too. Watching the rapid weight loss of Jessie Lee Ward, finding out that she had stage 4 cancer, and then watching her just like wither away. It's just proof that she was like not healthy, dude. I don't know. But these people don't want to hear it. They're going to go over and, oh, no, she wasn't sick. She never acted sick. You'd never know she was sick. I mean, I guess, unless you knew her before she got sick, Even Ed Milet, like, I think there was one point in his podcast where he was, like, really hyping her up, like, wow, she looks amazing. Did she lose weight? Yeah. And a lot of times when people lose weight, people will comment and be like, you look so good. It is hard to lose weight for a lot of people. Not to say that those comments were like unusual to make, I guess. Like when someone loses a lot of weight, I think it's kind of a common thing that people say. In Jessie Lee's case, it wasn't because she was suddenly working hard and found something. Well, that was another thing too. Oh my God, sorry. I'm like just remembering details as they pop into my head. She like started injecting herself with like peptides and other shit. Like I think probably in one of my videos, I probably put clips of it, but there was a live stream where she was showing off like all of her injectables. She was on vacation and she brought a bunch of injectables with her. She had a bag full of syringes that she was giving herself shots all the time. I think that's part of the reason why she started thinking she was losing weight. So that was the other thing, is that she lost a bunch of weight. She was trying to, you know? She was doing all these injectables and she thought they were working. Turns out it was fucking colon cancer. Jessie Lee came out later after her diagnosis and said that for what was it, like months? Like literally like 4 or 5 months or something, she was just constantly passing huge clots, blood clots, out of her lady bits. And then after she had her surgery, it stopped. So I don't know what the cause would be for that, but she literally let it go on for months without getting any help for it. And then she did the full body scan or whatever that Tony Robbins said she needed to do. And that's how they found out about the cancer. Like literally, Tony Robbins is the reason she found out she had cancer in the first place. Isn't this all just fucking crazy? Like, oh my God, yeah, Catherine, she was taking dewormer too. Just a bunch of shit. So she was doing new things to help her lose weight. Ultimately, I'm sure she thought that's what it was. Sad Quinta. Unironically, oh, thank you for the super chat. Unironically, JLW's weight loss / blood clot / cancer diagnosis was the reason I went to the doctor. I lost a lot of weight and had other GI problems. Turns out I had Crohn's. Go to the doctor. Thank you so much for saying that. And I think that's another reason why Jessie Lee's death really affected me in that way, because like I have a fear of colon cancer, because they say that like colon cancer is a quiet killer. She had no idea. I mean, she had a few months where she was bleeding. She should have found it a little sooner than she did, but ultimately like it got up to stage 4 before she found it. Like that scares the shit out of me, especially like I was saying, I'm turning 34 next month. Jessie Lee died when she was 34. A lot of cancers are pretty asymptomatic for quite a while, but especially colon cancer. And there's a lot of research that says that like it's on the rise for younger people too.
She'd found out about the colon cancer through the Grail test. Tony Robbins talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
And that was one of her mentors. So she had done all of this biohacking and taken the Grail test. And that was where the first discovery was made.
Isn't that wild,
So
Liz?
it was like on a path of health and wellness. I'm 34. I want to live 100 more years. And
Sure.
then you're diagnosed with life-altering diagnosis.
So
Right.
fucking scary.
So jumping forward a bit, I had to sit down with her the next day and tell her, hey, your doctor called me last night and he told me that he doesn't think you're going to see Christmas. And I have to tell you this. I don't know how to tell you this other than just saying it out loud. And
again, she was basically a stranger to Jessie Lee at this point. Wild.
yeah, it was a lot for both of us. I really placed all of the emotions on her because it wasn't happening to me.
Right.
But I think once she did pass, I realized that was a lot.
That's a lot for anyone to process.
Yeah.
Especially not even being a medical professional too. Like, and you're used to giving like grave, horrible news to people.
Yeah.
Like you didn't even have time to process that yourself. Wow.
Right. Yeah. And
That's like what I was saying. Like, she signed up to be her assistant to like help with office work and like organizational shit. It's like she didn't sign up to now she's suddenly having to do all this like healthcare shit. Yeah, it's wild. I feel for Carissa, I really do. And I also applaud Carissa for sticking by her side until the end too, because I think a lot of people would not do that. I think that this kind of diagnosis, as life-changing as it is for the person being diagnosed, I mean, it would also be life-changing to the people around her also. And Carissa's just like, I know I don't really know you. Hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but I'm going to stick by your side and we're going to help you beat cancer naturally. Like, I don't think a lot of people would do that. So I guess in a way you could say that Carissa was kind of a blessing to Jessie Lee, because I'm sure she was a source of comfort for Jessie Lee, even if that comfort was not based in reality or science-based or anything like that. Like, at the very least, she had people to lean on in that way, and I think Carissa was probably a really important person in the end stages of Jessie Lee's battle. I'm glad that Jessie Lee at least had Carissa, but it does fucking suck that Carissa had to be just thrown into it like that.
I believe in alignment, and I believe in, we all have a higher power at play. Mm-hmm. It just speaks to the testament that I was meant to meet her and she was meant to meet me, because I don't know how I powered through that, being the person who would be a neurotic mess if I dropped my cereal that morning. Like,
Right.
It was like, how am I holding it together?
Yeah.
For her, just so I can, pass on this news, but also like, how am I powering through this, and what do I do? Because, we're in March and he's saying maybe till December. Christmas. Yeah. And I'm a single mom, and I kind of just thought I could go back to my old job, or I can go get a new job, or I can just stay here and fight the fight and see what happens.
That makes me wonder if, like, Jessie Lee, and, based on how Carissa's talking about Jessie Lee at this point, still being like she was in the best shape of her life, blah, blah, blah. I think Jessie Lee worked her magic on Carissa and really had her convinced, like, no, don't worry. Like, you have job security here because I'm not going to die from this. That probably played a big role into why Carissa decided to stick around also. But fuck, man, could you imagine if she hadn't? Like, what would Jessie Lee have done? For the sake of Jessie Lee's comfort, like, I'm glad she did. It's just such a wild situation, dude.
And honestly, it was an easy decision. It didn't really feel like one. I just kind of told myself, like, if she's going to fight this in whatever way she chooses, I'm going to be here.
I'm going to fight with her.
There's a reason that we're in each other's lives, and how it just did not feel right if I were to go, hey, I'm going to take this safe route and I'm going to leave. It just didn't feel right. So I stuck it out with her. And I'm glad I did. And I'm probably going to cry any minute now.
It's okay.
I'm holding it together.
It's okay.
But yeah, so we did. She took the homeopathic route. She did not do chemo or radiation. She wanted to try and fight it naturally, holistically. So, she probably saw, by the time May came, I'd say she saw at least 20 to 25 different doctors, medical, like MD to holistic to whatever.
And most of them were holistic. Like, when she did see MDs, when she went to MD Anderson, and she had her surgery, and I don't think that was through MD Anderson. I think that was just at like some other hospital or something. But like, after MD Anderson, I'm pretty sure she just kind of swore off of oncologists and just started going holistic, because she did not like that the doctors were telling her, like, yep, you got 8 months to live, and she didn't like that. So she like stopped seeing them.
Were they telling her that holistic wasn't the way to go, or were they giving just all different opinions? Like,
I would say every traditional doctor was against it.
Duh.
Easily, because it was such an aggressive cancer. They don't know when it started, because they found it at stage 4.
Right.
They'd taken, I think it was like 11 to 13 inches of her intestine out. It was a lot. And she would say, of course I would get, a aggressive cancer, because look at me. I'm not a normal person. I'm not going to get a normal little spec, I'm going to get the big thing. And at the end of the day, she was healing. Her tests were coming back. No news. No.
Because all of those tests were coming from naturopathic, homeopathic, bullshit, quackery doctors who didn't fucking know what the fuck they were talking about. Like, you're gonna really sit here and be like, no, she was healing. She totally was. a year and a half after she fucking died, earlier than the doctors were telling her she would. I mean, the doctors were right. They're like, you won't live to see Christmas. She definitely didn't. So they were right in that fact, but like they gave her more time than she actually ended up having. And you're gonna sit here and be like, no, she was healing. Make this make sense, dude. It just makes me wonder, how different would this story be if she had listened to oncologists, if she had gone through everything MD Anderson told her she was supposed to.
Scans were coming back good. Tumors weren't bigger. They weren't appearing in new spots. So we were like, it's working. Something is working. And she looked amazing. Like she was glowing.
Yeah, because she was just like, she was completely vegan. Like she was doing nothing but like drinking juices all day. She was doing all these holistic things, like all of this naturopathic stuff. It's like, no wonder. Yeah, she was glowing because she was eating really well, or like she was taking all these vitamins and shit that probably made her hair grow faster and did good things for her skin and stuff. Like she was doing like IV therapy and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of those things did contribute to her looking good on the outside, but what was happening on the inside of her body was not indicative of the way that she looked on the outside. And I feel like I remember like a lot of us saying that she was kind of looking a little like yellow towards the end and stuff too. And fuck man, one of the pictures that really sticks with me was a picture that, I don't remember who even fucking posted it. It was some like irrelevant lady who went and visited Jessie Lee on her deathbed and then posted a picture of her holding Jessie Lee's hand while she was on her deathbed. And Jessie's hand was like bright yellow. Like she had straight up liver failure. It was intense jaundice. The difference in her skin color was fucking insane.
You would never know she was a sick person. And I won't ever describe her as a sick person for the sake of
she fucking
story.
was.
Right, sure.
We all watched her wither away for 8 goddamn months, and you're gonna be like, she wasn't sick. She fucking died. Are you serious? It's just wild to me that she can still be in such denial. Are we living in the same fucking reality? How are you still not coming to terms with like, oh, okay, turns out actually she was sick. And actually all of this homeopathic shit wasn't working. And like, how are you still gonna sit here and defend this? Denial's contagious, I guess, but like after a certain point, like when do you realize like, maybe we were wrong?
You would never know. And about July is really when our energies kind of synced and we were a unit. And that's when I'd noticed changes in myself, like just the way I would walk into work, walk into the door, like just ready for the day, whatever was going to come at us, we're good, versus back in January where I was like, I don't know if this lady's going to like me. Oh my gosh. Like, just nervous all the time with that nervous energy versus like just walking in confident and ready to go, knowing, whatever comes, we've got it.
Right.
So that's when I noticed that change in me. I knew I had anxiety. I didn't really understand that it interlinked with my depression, with chronic depression. Mm-hmm. But having a baby that young already, having those types of struggles, it really just amplified everything in me. So by the time I met her, like I was neurotic. I was not like this calm woo-woo, like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. Let's put some frankincense on it and you'll be good to go. Like, and now I'm like totally like just trusting in the plan. And
the plan. Wasn't that a thing that they were all saying like a lot? Like after Jessie Lee died, they were all like, it's all according to plan or whatever. Like they were all fucking saying that and posting that in their status updates about how much they love Jessie, like their eulogies and shit that they were posting all over the internet.
And yeah, so by July we were really in sync. She had her huge mastery program that she would put on, and it was just like I felt on top of the world, and so did she. But behind closed doors, she was in a lot of pain. And it was just like her and I would just look at each other and I would just be like, what do you want me to do?
Also, did you guys know that Wookiee apparently passed away? I think it's still speculated. Like, it's not like Courtney came out and said it, but there was a screenshot. I don't remember which one of you guys sent it to me, but there was a screenshot posted to Reddit not too long ago of one of Courtney's lives, and there's like a paw print like memorial looking piece thing behind her, and I think people were saying it's probably Wookie. That was one of Jessie Lee's dogs, and she fucking loved those dogs, and that was like a whole thing. We don't have to get into all that, but basically, long story short, Courtney stole the dogs. She wasn't supposed to have the dogs. She also stole Jessie Lee's clothes and tried to steal her ashes and shit, but yes, she stole her dogs, and now one of them is supposedly passed away. The other one, when he does make appearances on Courtney's lives, he's skin and bones. Like, he looks so sick, and it's so sad. Luciana, I think JLW was very good at pretending. I don't even think that she knew she was pretending. I genuinely believe that Jessie Lee believed everything she was saying. She would just manifest it, and it'll be fine. Whatever I say goes, because I'm Jessie Lee, and I'm very powerful in my words and my mindset, so yeah.
August was honestly just a blur. She started getting treatment in Malibu, California. And by then she'd come home early September, and I just said, I need you to go to the emergency room. She was like, I'm blacking out in pain. I'm like, I can't take it. And I said, I need you to go to the ER.
And she's not taking anything for pain either?
I believe the past week, so the week before
Okay.
she was admitted,
Okay.
she was taking Tylenol 3.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
okay.
But at the same time, like, she was in so much pain, though. Like, there were videos of her literally, like, rocking back and forth in pain. Because she had the ascites or whatever. Yeah, she was literally just taking Tylenol.
That took a lot for her to take anything, you know, like
Yeah.
hard medication like that. But she was in a lot of pain, and I just was like, I need you to go to the ER. Like, I can't in good conscience, like, just watch you be like this. And
Chris is the one who made her go to the ER. I mean, at least there's that. Because I feel like everyone else in her life would have been like, Jessie, do you want to go to the ER? And she would be like, no, I'm fine. That's what Jessie Lee would do. And people, like, everyone else in her life, I feel like they're such yes men that they're just like, okay, Jessie, whatever you say. Sounds like Carissa, like, knew Jessie enough to be like, you're going to the fucking hospital. So at least there's that.
ER, and 7 days later, she transitioned to heaven.
Wow.
Yep. So
the shock on this podcast host's face is so wild to me, because the way Carissa's telling this story, I mean, everyone in Jessie Lee's life had the same reaction. Because the way Carissa's telling this is basically the same way that Jessie Lee was basically making everything sound like it was, you know? Very like, I'm fine. Ow, hurts a little bit, but I'm fine. A doctor said I'm fine. And then Carissa's like, and then 7 days later she died. This podcast host was like not expecting that. And I think a lot of us also in the anti-MLM movement, when we would talk about Jessie Lee, we would all say, like, I hope that she beats this, and I hope she's getting better, but, like, there's this sign, and there's this sign, and this is happening, and this is happening, and it doesn't look good. We were all just like, you know, as much as we hope she beats this, this is gonna be over before Christmas. Like, we all fucking knew it. Everyone in Jessie Lee's life was looking at her and her situation with rose-colored glasses, you know? They're just like, yeah, no, Jessie's fine. She's healing. She's fine. The rest of us in fucking reality land over here, we all saw this for what it was. I think it really wasn't a surprise to us when she passed away, but to all of the people in Jessie Lee's inner circle, and even the people who followed her and believed her and on her holistic journey and everything, they were shocked in the same way that this podcast lady is. I remember exactly where I was when I watched her laughing and saying, oh, it hurts, ha ha ha. Yeah, on the hospital, or not the hotel floor with Avi, because she couldn't even sleep in the bed. She had to sleep in a chair sitting up because it hurt so bad to lay down. This is just sad no matter how you look at it. The whole fucking thing is sad. It really is. You can hate Jessie Lee for what she did. You can hate her for being an MLM girly and a scammer, and, you know, at the end of the day, no one fucking deserves this. No one deserves what happened to them. Now, the interesting thing is, too, and I think I posted this on my Instagram stories when I saw it, but there's a new study that came out. Like, I know I posted it to the group chat. We have a anti-MLM group chat with a few creators. I know I posted it in there. But there's like a new study that just came out that ties low-carb diets to colon cancer. These people are all chugging ketones all day, every day, and purposely cutting out carbs because, like, the keto diet is low carb, you know. There's actual research now, and, you know, I'm not going to say that this is fact. I'm sure it has to be peer reviewed, and there probably needs to be a lot more research coming out of it. But there's studies to suggest that low carb diets can be really bad for colon health and cause colon cancer. So as sad as it is, it's like, it all makes sense. All of it makes sense when you think about it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it was proven that caused her cancer. Like, no, but she also was on like the carnivore diet for a while at one point, which I know a bunch of red meat and stuff is bad for your colon health also. Well, she was a carnivore, but she was carnivore for a while, and then she was totally vegan, and she was vegan until she died. I don't think she ended up going back to the carnivore diet.
When she was doing good.
She was doing excellent, and it was just that timeline between end of July till September 16th is when she passed.
But she got those final results while she was in Malibu, like a week before she died. The results were she was sitting on the floor crying because she was so happy because the doctor called her and was like, everything looks really good. See you oh, that's what it was. He said to her, see you in 6 months. And that's what made her so excited, because she's like, that means I'm going to be alive in 6 months. I'm going to make it past Christmas, you know. And then she died a week later.
Things changed, and there was a change in the treatment plan.
Oh, you're going to blame that?
But at the end of the day, it's scientifically is how they described it. It metastasized.
Hadn't it? Okay, I don't know for sure. I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure. First of all, stage 4 cancer is after it already had metastasized, right? That's what stage 4 is. They removed some of her lymph nodes during the original surgery she had because it had spread to her lymph nodes. Like, she's making it sound like, well, we changed up some stuff. Like, 'cause she did change. She went from whatever she was doing in Texas or whatever. She went to Malibu. She went, I think one of the Real Housewives and her husband owned this treatment center or something. She was going there, and she was there for like a week or something, maybe even longer, getting like IV treatments and stuff. What she's making it sound like is like, yeah, she was totally fine until she like started doing something different. Then it suddenly metastasized, and it's like, no, I'm pretty sure, and, you know, I'm not her doctor, I never saw her scans, blah, 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 but I'm pretty sure that's why they diagnosed her at stage 4, because it had spread. I think at one point, even in one of the videos, she was talking about her throat or something, but that might be because there's, like, lymph nodes around her throat, I don't know. Stage 4 means other organ involvement, yeah. I know that there's, like, for certain cancers, doesn't necessarily mean that. Like for, I don't know, like a blood cancer or something. I don't remember exactly. Don't quote me on that. But there are other like definitions of stage 4 for certain kinds of cancers. But for the most part, my understanding is that if a cancer is stage 4, it means it's spread. They diagnosed her at that.
And it can metastasize quickly, you know, overnight, if you will.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on. I'm sorry. She didn't even get through one sentence and I'm pausing it. I'm pulling an Ethan Klein right now. She's talking about this like it just metastasized overnight. Whoa, it just happened. We had no idea. Like, seriously? The denial is so fucking strong with her, and it's wild to me that a year and a half later, you haven't done any introspection, any critical thinking about what the fuck happened. She's sitting here and still believing like she stopped going to Germany and then started going to Malibu instead. Then all of a sudden it was metastasized and she died. That is not the reality. That's not what fucking happened.
At that stage.
And it was already so aggressive, right?
Yeah. So I believe she technically passed from sepsis because she was septic.
Yeah, that's what happens when your body isn't able to fight off all the toxins and shit, right? That's like when your liver like stops working or something, and then you get the infection in your bloodstream. So yeah, she went septic, but then like they were all saying like, oh, because she died from kidney failure or something like that. Like that's what they were all saying. It's like, no, she died from stage 4 cancer because the cancer caused her to lose control of whatever organ is responsible for keeping people from going septic. So much denial here. Yeah, her whole body was shutting down. Exactly, Charlene. I almost got septic once because I had a really bad miscarriage, and thankfully, it was before Roe v. Wade got overturned, so I was able to get life-saving emergency surgery 2 days after my miscarriage was found, and then I did not go septic and I did not die, but that's happening to women all over the country now, so fucking hell, I hate this goddamn world we're living in right now. Anyway.
When you have stage 4 cancer, you get this fluid, it's called ascites, and it built up in her abdomen. She looked almost 8 months pregnant, and she was very tiny woman.
You know what's crazy is that I don't think we've ever heard anyone say this publicly, that she looked pregnant before she died. I knew that because at the time, I guess it's fine to talk about this now, but at the time, Erin Bees was in contact with some of her close family members. I don't remember exactly who it was. I guess it doesn't matter. Who was basically giving her the play-by-play as everything was going down. And we found out that Jessie Lee passed away before the rest of the internet did. And that was one of the things that I remember Erin telling me, the information she had got from the people who were there and saw her. They all said the same thing, like the fluid buildup was so huge that she looked like a full-term pregnancy because she had so much fucking fluid. I don't think anyone else had ever said that. I don't know if I even said that in any of my videos because that was kind of a bit of information that I thought was too much information for me to know. I was like, I shouldn't know that. That's something that I feel like maybe just the people that are closest that were there, if anyone should know that kind of information, it shouldn't be me. So that was one of the bits of information that I knew I shouldn't have, and it disturbed the fuck out of me. So it's really interesting to hear Carissa say that. Yeah, and it's wild because like the last live stream that Jessie Lee did when she was sitting on the hotel floor and rocking back and forth and whatever, and when she couldn't sleep in the bed because she was in so much pain, she didn't look like she had a lot of fluid, and that was about a week before she passed away. So for her to accumulate so much fluid over the course of like a week to the point where she looked like she was 8 to 9 months pregnant, that's so fast and so scary. And it just also plays into the truth that she was really sick. You can sit here and say that she wasn't sick. Oh no, she wasn't sick. She was the best shape that she's ever been in her life. No, bitch, she was fucking sick. That doesn't just happen to healthy people. Yeah, take a break if it's too much, guys.
Right.
Sometimes she would read on the couch with her blanket, and I would think she wasn't home. Like, she was tiny.
Right.
You know, and so it was very obvious that something, you know, there was fluid buildup, and they would drain it, and
it would come right back.
Yeah. And I mean, she weaned herself off all medications. She was there 7 days. I think day 3 or 4, she said, stop giving me this. I'm going to get out of here. I need you to stop giving me this medicine. The pain relief.
Just up until the last fucking minute, she still thought that she was gonna get out, you know? Like, Jessie Lee was just as brainwashed as the other people around her. It's so sad. I think the last few days she was in a medically induced coma, I think. Like, she wasn't even awake. When people were there visiting her, all of her, like, downline members and shit, like, were flying out to come visit her in the hospital or whatever. I know they put her in a medically induced coma towards the end. From what I remember hearing, the last day or two were really intense. So anyway,
yeah, she really wanted to get better, and at the day before she passed, I put my hand on her.
Yes, Melissa.
And I just told her, you and I believe in the same God, and if you go home, it means you did everything you were supposed to do, and I love you.
That's hard.
I've told this story a few times to close friends, so I have a little more strength today, but it was it was one of my greatest honors, having worked with her and learning from her. And I don't mean business. I don't mean the stuff that we don't get to take with us. Yes, I mean life. She'd gone to Egypt 2 weeks before she passed, or 2.5 weeks before she passed, which was on her bucket list. She had spoken on one of the biggest stages in her career, just probably 6 weeks before. I mean, she was constantly doing what she wanted to do. She did not stop living, and she did not live like a sick person.
But part of that was because Ed Milet told her she needed to keep working. So there was that too. That's part of the thing that like really was so fucked up with Ed Milet. She was paying him, what, wasn't it like $30,000 an hour or some shit like that for him to coach her? And she's like, he's my mentor. And all he was fucking telling her was like, keep working. Don't let this stupid cancer shit keep you from being a boss babe, basically. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, fuck Ed Milet. He's such a piece of shit. The reason she was still out there, like, traveling and going to Germany and then going to Egypt and then going to fucking wherever, I don't even remember where she went. She was traveling all the goddamn time. She was doing that because Ed Milet, and probably other people too, were just like, no, don't slow down. What are you doing? What are you doing? She's a fucking cancer patient. Like, if she had gone on chemo or something, she probably wouldn't have been able to do all that. Because I know chemo, like, really takes a lot of time, first of all. There's a lot of treatments that you have to be around for, but also, like, you just get super sick.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but to be absorbing that, to be in proximity of
That kind of energy and that just will. God.
Right. And I'm telling you, from the last day that we had together, and we looked at each other and, you know, I said, if this is just an infection, because we still weren't certain.
Just an infection. Sepsis. It's a fucking blood infection that's deadly. Yeah, people in the best of health do not fight off sepsis. You can't just, like, fight off sepsis. I'm pretty sure, like, once you're septic, your chances of breaking through that are really low. I just know it's, like, a really serious condition that you want to avoid. If it's just an infection, you'll fight it off. You don't just fight off sepsis, dude. Like, what the fuck? Right, just an infection? It's just an infection. Stop. It's just an infection, like losing your limb is just a flesh wound. Tis merely a flesh wound.
You are more than capable to beat an infection. And she goes, yes, you're right.
She had fucking cancer. She didn't do chemotherapy, so it's not like her immune system was compromised because of chemo or something like that. But still, like, yeah, I know 3 people under 50 who passed from sepsis. Wow. You can survive it, but chances are lower and it's a hard fight. That's that's my understanding of it too. That's pretty much how it was made clear to me when I had to get surgery to avoid it. With Carissa, though, I do still feel for her because she's young. She was young when she met Jessie Lee, and she very clearly hasn't worked through any of this. She very clearly is still in the same exact mindset she was in when Jessie Lee left us. How, after a year and a half, have you done zero critical thinking? You know, she was mentioning there's like this energy around Jessie Lee, this positive energy and stuff, and I totally get that. I absolutely understand. While Jessie Lee was definitely like super chaotic, you know, there probably is something to that, like being around Jessie Lee, you just really felt like, you know, you're on top of the world, you can do anything, you know. I'm sure she had that effect on people, especially people who were around her all the time. I'm sure she did. But that energy is not realistic because look what the fuck happened, you know. Carissa is still in that, and she hasn't worked her way out of it, and it's sad. But this whole point of her being on this podcast, you know, this podcast has to do with like mental health and stuff apparently, and like this lady said that she like helps people work through addiction or whatever. Obviously this doesn't have anything to do with addiction, but Carissa's here because she said she had like really bad anxiety and depression, and didn't she say OCD or something like that? I think she probably compares the time in her life from before she met Jessie Lee, when she was all like anxious and all this stuff and like not knowing what the future holds for her and just being so unsure of everything, like having a young kid and having gotten divorced and or separated or whatever. I'm sure she was in a spot where she was just so unsure of things, and when she met Jessie Lee, she was thrown into the ring with somebody who is so sure of themselves and so sure of the world and so sure of how the world works and believing that she has these fucking powers to manipulate reality with her mindset, you know? Like, I'm sure being around Jessie Lee was, like, conducive of that kind of thinking, and she's still in it. I think it's clear with Kelsey, but also, like, with everyone in an MLM. While you're in it, while you're around all these people, these, like, toxic positivity and stuff, you get fucking brainwashed, and Jessie Lee is, like, the final boss of MLM boss babes, you know? I'm sure that being around her did throw a lot of people into a similar mindset. She got swept up in the personality. I think so. It's the cult leader effect. Forget your critical thinking skills. I'm your source of truth now. But I think it was like Jessie Lee, she was charismatic. I always used to say, every time I covered Jessie Lee, because so many people would be like, oh, I can't stand this woman. She's so loud and she's so all over the place. Ah. But to me, I was always really attracted to her personality because I'm also loud and obnoxious. So like, I guess I'm very like drawn to other people who have chaotic energy because like I can relate to it, I think. I can absolutely see Jessie Lee as a person being almost like a personality that you could get addicted to. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's just, I can totally see it. Like how she has so much influence and she's so fucking sure of herself and sure of everything that it's hard not to get caught up in that. And I think Carissa is still there, and I don't know what it would take for her to work through that.
And I said, if it's something else, we already know that there's always been a plan set.
The plan.
And it was beautiful for us to have that much of a connection, and I didn't really realize it then because a lot of her surrounding support system was very much just in the energy that she was.
Kat, exactly.
You're gonna get better no matter what. There's no other option.
Right.
And I was still kind of in that, survival mindset from what I'd been through to be able to look at her and be like, if this is what happens, we both know that means you did all the damn things you were supposed to do.
Except fucking chemotherapy. Anyway, Hannah, this is a really good comment. She said she had aspects of herself that appeared to be the ideal: confidence, status, money, life, etc. Yeah, she lived in a penthouse apartment on a skyscraper. Like, she had a lot of money and she had nice things and she had this handsome boyfriend and was successful and was traveling all the time. Like, yeah, it's appealing. That's appealing to most people, I think. So,
and you should be very proud. Of course, I'm sure it doesn't feel that way, but I knew she needed to hear it, and I hope that I hope it meant something to her, because it never was coming from a place of disbelief. It was just, I wanted her to have comfort. It's okay if it's time.
But that's also such a weird thing to say to someone like Jessie Lee, who's just like, I'm not going to die. I'm going to beat this. I'm healing. I mean, her condition must have been, obviously it was bad because she never made it out of the hospital, but it just seems so weird to say this shit to her at that point. Well, weren't there like text messages that got leaked or something? Yeah, there were. I posted them in one of my videos about the Jessie Lee situation, and I don't remember who posted them. But I remember there was a string of text messages that someone posted, and she was just saying, like, I'm so scared. So that's like some of the last thoughts that she had while she was alive, and you're just gonna put that on blast like that? It's no wonder that she was scared now, because I guess she had Carissa by her bedside being like, if you die, it's okay. It's like, what the fuck? Easy for you to fucking say. If Jessie Lee said that, if I die, it's okay, that'd be one thing. But to look at someone in a hospital and being like, hey, don't worry if you die. I'm sorry, sorry to harp on this so hard. I just think that is so fucking bizarre.
That is a very short version of my time with her. And
oh yeah, she did say she didn't want to die.
Well, after she passed, I really went through a huge depressive wave.
Okay.
But it wasn't my normal depressive wave. Having chronic depression, I describe it, I'm never not depressed. It's just like levels of it.
Lisa, the cat mom, said maybe she was telling her it was okay to stop fighting. But I just feel like the entire time she was like, I'm fighting this, I'm curing it. And it just seems like that's not something that Jessie Lee would ever want to hear under any circumstances, Yeah, she's not a medical professional. Neither are Jessie Lee's supposed friends, and everyone was giving medical advice. It was awful. And she was getting medical advice from like people on TikTok and shit too.
Just feels like gloom and doom some days, and I'm right there with you, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like my normal depressive episodes. It felt like I had this, oh my gosh, I almost feel like I was like the puppet, and there was a puppeteer just kind of like walking me through what I should be doing.
Yeah.
But internally I felt conflicted, and I felt lost, and I felt pain.
Right.
I had, not only did I enjoy working for her, but I had made a career out of it in 9.5 months.
Right.
That's not a career. I don't think being someone's personal assistant for 9 months is like, oh, this is my career now, Maybe I don't know. I've never been a personal assistant. I've never been in that world, so maybe I'm wrong, but like, it just seems like such a weird thing to say. It just seems really tough, because the logical endpoint of manifestation is that if it doesn't work, that's your own fault. And maybe Carissa just wanted to be someone to acknowledge the truth to her. I think Carissa believed, and still does believe, that Jessie Lee was healing and that Jessie Lee was fighting this off and stuff, I don't think that she thought that that was the truth. Like the whole like, oh, you can stop fighting now, it's okay. Like, I don't think that she believed that, because like clearly just the way she's talking about it now, like she's still like just completely brainwashed.
To lose my friend and my career in the same day. That was a lot to process.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Aw.
Yeah, so I think
throughout that, did she kind of talk you through that at all? Like that would come someday? Or was she just so determined, like, this is not happening?
we never ever entertained or had a discussion of an
About her
alternative.
of her not making it.
Right.
And I think that's also part of the reason why Carissa also felt comfortable staying. Like, obviously, she's a good enough person to be like, yeah, no, I'll stick by your side. I really do think that she would have done it regardless, even if she knew Jessie Lee was gonna die. But I think Jessie Lee also, like, had her and everyone around her just truly believing that she was gonna beat it. So Carissa didn't feel like she needed to go find another job or whatever. I think Carissa doesn't know what she believes, no disrespect, but to say God has a plan and you can manifest your own healing are contradictory beliefs. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, maybe you could argue that manifestation is kind of a form of prayer. I don't fucking know. It is weird when you put it that way. Well, I don't know. It depends on which denomination of Christianity you are, because some people believe like it's all just part of God's plan, and then other people are like, yeah, but we have free will, so we can go against God's plan. Basically, it's like none of y'all make sense. So like, where does manifestation fall in all of that? I don't know. She described some serious cognitive dissonance a minute ago, but she has certainly rationalized it in a way she doesn't seem to have deconstructed since. Yeah, I agree. I think she's still in that mindset and she hasn't done enough critical thinking to get herself out of it.
So
Was
it
she
was
married or was she married or had kids or anything?
No, she
Thank
had
goodness she didn't.
a boyfriend.
A married
and
boyfriend?
She had 2 dogs, 2 fur babies.
Oh.
Yeah, Wookie Lee and Kumba. And one was a pit bull, and Kumba was a mixture of Shar-Pei and something else. But they were beautiful, probably the healthiest, most loved puppies I've ever met.
Even if Wookie passed, Courtney will never admit it. Right. There's Kumba Charles also. We've seen him on Courtney's lives, but when he's there, he's like super skinny, skin and bones. Like, yeah, it's really, really sad. Yeah, DC. Kumba looks super unhealthy too. You can see his ribs. Yeah. It's really sad because Jessie Lee really did love those dogs. Like, she would have loved her own children, you know? And so for her to pass away and then just be like thrown into the hands of Courtney, and Courtney clearly didn't do right by them, it's a fucking tragedy.
At one point, I was cooking their meals. Like, they were very, very loved and well taken care
You're
of.
like, yes, you are definitely children.
Yes, without a
Yeah.
doubt. But yeah, that was tough. And like I said, I experienced it all with her. Like, I was in the room. They came in to talk about hospice 2.5 days before she passed.
Wow.
And watching them ask her, do you have any next of kin? Do you have any children? And just seeing her have to answer those questions, I'll never forget.
So young to even.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I need a minute. Like, that fucked me up. I don't know why that just fucked me up so hard, just like listening to her say that. My mind just broke. Yeah, that fucked me up. Sorry. I'll let it keep playing. I think I have to work through my thoughts on that one there.
feel like just having experienced that, and this is not ideal for everyone. I'm not saying go out and, do exactly as I do. But
Right.
it really put in perspective, like, I can't be in a prison of my mind and limit myself just because I know I have these conditions does not mean I have to put limits on myself.
Right.
And I think that is the biggest lesson. Like, I would never have thought I'd be on any podcast ever.
Right.
Because I'm used to being, the background girl and, the one, texting other people to set up their interviews with Jessie Lee. And,
Right.
And it took me a year, but
Okay.
the process from September 2023 through probably October 2024 is where I came full circle, I felt like. And I'm like, okay, now I have to start living for me. She left me physically, but she left me with a lot. and I really needed it. And I think that anyone is going through grief or any of their mental health struggles, it's finding your people.
What an amazing, incredible legacy to leave behind.
Yeah.
For her.
Depending on who you ask, Jessie Lee's legacy that she's leaving behind is different, because I think the anti-MLM movement, of course, her legacy is like, holy shit, she had cancer and then she passed away and it was really tragic and sad, but also she kidnapped her team and brought them to Colombia, and she was just a loud, obnoxious network marketer, like couldn't look away from her. Like, that's her legacy to us. But if you ask any of the people in the Empire, which was her team, or any of the people who like took her trainings and stuff, they're gonna say, oh, she was such a magnificent, kind, caring, loving, like ambitious person. And it's like, I'm sure she was all those things, but she also like was terrible in a lot of ways too. To me, she'll always be someone who destroyed a family. Oh yeah, true, Karina. That's another part of her legacy that the anti-MLM movement will remember her for, literally pulling Avi Ram away from her family, or his family. So it's just wild the way, like, it depends on who you ask, but like Jessie Lee was a lot of different things to a lot of people. She certainly left behind a legacy. Yeah.
So many people that I still keep in touch with, and I'm seeing them, you know, excel in their business or start a new business.
Who? Courtney? Courtney, like, got gifted Jessie Lee's downline and then, like, plummeted up to the top of Prove It as if she fucking did anything to deserve that rank advancement. She fucking did. She didn't do shit! Like, the recruiting leaderboards or whatever, like, she was never even on them. Like, she would go like months without recruiting a single person. Meanwhile, she's at the top of the company. It's like, yeah, wow, she's doing so great.
Quit their business and be a mom and just give everything to their family.
Who did that?
Like, we all who were in close proximity to her, even if it was through social media, it was like we collectively just all were like, I'm going to live for me, and I'm going to live however I need to live, and what is my joy, and that is what I'm going to chase. I'm not going to chase all these other nonsensical things anymore. There was also this high of her passing, like, I have to do everything I've ever wanted because life is short, and just, you know, all of these things coming to me. And then, you know, a year kind of trickles by and you're like, oh, I'm a year later. What am I doing? And so I kind of just kicked myself back into that. What did I say I was going to do?
Like holding yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love this for her. I don't know if she like ever went into like actually being in an MLM or anything like that. I don't know what she's doing for work now. I hope she never joined network marketing on behalf of Jessie Lee.
I literally just said, there's always a way. That's what we always told each other. That's what she always preached. There's always a way. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to figure it out. And I did. I'm still figuring it out in some sense.
That's okay. That's okay.
But it really just comes down to the accountability and also, what do you want your life to look like? And not chasing that, but being that. Even with all the scary unknowns, which, believe me, the anxiety is still there. It's not gone away.
Right.
I just have tools now to go like, hey.
Coping skills, yes.
Yeah. Like, hey, I know you're there to protect me and, you know, keep me safe.
Okay, I'm sorry. That is not a valid coping skill to deal with anxiety and depression and shit and like grief. If you're one of God's girlies, that's cool. I understand that religion and like a belief in God, I understand that that can be like a comforting thing to people. And that's what it kind of sounds to me like Carissa is explaining. Like, you're watching over me and I'm very comforted by it. But to say, I have tools in my toolbox now to be able to fight off my demons, basically. I'm gonna fight off my anxiety demons. But I guess my point is that I think this is gonna come back and bite her in the ass. I feel like eventually you're gonna get to a point where like suddenly you realize that like this is not a healthy coping mechanism. I think she might be saying that the anxiety is trying to protect her, but it's not always helpful. That doesn't work. What? That doesn't sound right at all. Why would she say that? Like how anxiety is really a warning? Maybe I misunderstood her. I thought she was saying she still feels anxious and she still feels depressed and stuff, but she can deal with it now because she has tools in her toolbox. And then she started going off about like, I know you're looking out for me and stuff. So anyway, okay, yeah, I'm not really sure what she's trying to say. I guess it could go either way. She can deal with the anxiety because she knows the anxiety is looking out for her, but it can't rule her. That's how I understood it, but maybe I'm wrong. No, I can see that too. But I also like, I'm seeing it like, is she's saying that Jessie Lee is looking out for her and like, and I got this. Like, as someone who does also have anxiety, like I've been actually diagnosed with it when in my 20s, I have never looked at anxiety that way. And not to say that other people don't look at it that way. I look at anxiety as my fucking demon, you know, like, get the fuck out of here. I hate when I get anxious. I don't look at anxiety as something that is protecting me. Yeah, I don't know what she's trying to say either. I think that's why my brain is going to her, like, being like, oh, Jessie Lee is gone, but she's still with me. Because she did say earlier, I don't know how long ago it was, but she was saying, like, Jessie left me physically, but she left me with a lot. I disagree. If you die, it's okay. It's a comforting thing to say to someone who's on the way there. Some may need permission to just let go. Maybe, but with Jessie Lee, I'm not sure. Possibly. Jessie Lee never confronted the possibility of losing her life over cancer. Even up until the last time she went to the hospital, she never, like Carissa was saying, she never even had a conversation of an alternative. That was not in Jessie Lee's mind. So in Jessie Lee in particular, I feel like that's not something that she would have wanted to hear, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know Jessie, so I think it's a way to view anxiety in a more positive way. Maybe it's because I never went to therapy for my anxiety. Maybe that's something they teach in therapy. I don't know. I never went. I just started taking pills and I'm managing it that way. But to me, like, when I think of my anxiety, I hate it. You're not trying to protect me. You're trying to fucking keep me indoors and not living my life and just like living as a hermit forever, which is fine too. I would love to just like move into the middle of the forest and never talk to anybody again. Like, that sounds great too. Then I wouldn't be anxious ever. But anyway, pills help a lot. They really do. I think if Jessie Lee could have slapped her for saying that, she would have. See, that's how I look at it too. But again, I don't know. It's all speculation. And I think this is a really productive conversation to be having. Anxiety controls me and I hate it. Yeah. That's how I feel too. If I don't take my pills and I have anxiety and stuff, I'm not feeling like my body is protecting itself. I'm feeling like I'm being attacked. Like, I'm feeling like my body's almost attacking itself. Then I need tools to fight it off, you know? I want to fight off my anxiety. I don't want to say thank you, anxiety, for trying to keep me safe. Like, I don't know. But that's just me. It's a way of viewing anxiety through internal family systems. Oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's experiences either. I understand what you guys are trying to say, but like, I've just never looked at anxiety that way. I'm just like, no, it's like a debilitating fucking demon living in my brain, but all right.
I'm driving and just, you know, rein it back in because it's not gone, but there's tools now.
It's amazing. So amazing. I hope like all her people feel the same. It has to be her like working through so many of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yes.
I have no doubt. Like
Well, so what she just said there, she's working through so many of you, right? I didn't mishear that, right? She did just say that's her working through so many of you, and she said, I hope all of her people feel the same way. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they're like attributing Jessie Lee's death to being like a new guardian angel, basically. And it's like, I understand that being a source of comfort and like a tool to fight off anxiety and stuff, but I don't think that's a healthy tool because I'm sorry if you're gonna get mad because I'm not a religious person, but I don't think that's based in reality. I really don't. And I think ultimately those kinds of coping mechanisms, if you ever fall out of that shit, then you don't know where to land. That's been your foundation the entire fucking time. Like, well, this whole time, like, I really just thought I had guardian angels and I thought I had God looking out for me. That's kind of a creepy way of viewing it. Yeah, but like the thing you have to understand, and I don't know where like anyone falls like religiously, but like I was a Christian for 25 years. Even longer than that, actually. I had a picture come up on my Facebook memories like a few months ago, or maybe even just a few weeks ago, of my daughter when she was a baby. And she must have been like at least a year old. And like my Facebook caption, I was writing like, God blessed us with this most beautiful baby. Like, so when I say I was 20, like I was a Christian for 25 years, it was longer than that. I don't know when I like fell out of that. It was probably after my miscarriage was when it really started, but just the state of the world like really threw me for a loop, and then I turned into an atheist. But I guess my point is that it does sound weird to be like, oh wow, like these angels are just like watching me all the time, but like when you're in the realm of Christianity, it's comforting. Like my mom, for example, I don't talk to my parents anymore. Like it's been since October since I talked to them, but I'm sure my mom still feels this way because she's been this way since I've known her. She believes that she has guardian angels, and like when she finds like a penny, she's like, that's a penny from heaven, like an angel put that there, because it's like that I'm sure someone else has to know what I'm talking about. Like I'm sure my mom's not the only crazy person who thinks like that. To my mom, that's a comforting thing. I look at that and I'm like, girl, you're delusional. But like to her, it's comfort. So I think a lot of people view angels, spirits, like the spirit of Jessie Lee is watching over me. That's a comforting thing. And I think to any of us outside of it, yeah, it sounds pretty creepy and weird, but I'm telling you, when you're in it, it's comfort.
I don't know how woo-woo you get, but I talk to her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I recently just had finally dated back in January after like 2.5 years of 0 dates.
Oh.
And before I went on our second date, I just was talking to her and I just was saying, I want you to meet this guy. I wish you were here. I would tell you all about him. And
it's almost like she's praying to her. I don't want to judge her for this because I totally understand where she's coming from as someone who was in the faith for so long. This is going to sound fucking crazy to some of you guys, so don't judge me for this. But after Jessie Lee died, like, I was still really into like my tarot cards and stuff. And I still love that stuff, but like, I don't think that they're real as far as like talking to the dead and stuff or like predicting the future. Like, I've never really believed that any of that's true. But when I've been in my meditative states, like right after Jessie Lee died, I literally would talk. This sounds so crazy. Like, don't judge me because when I tell you that Jessie Lee's death fucked me up and it took me 6 months to talk about it, this is where my mind was. I started fucking like, while I was meditating and like doing my journaling and shit, I would like try to like channel Jessie Lee. I'm not even fucking kidding. I don't think I've ever told you guys this. Like, that it really fucked me up. Even though I'm an atheist, I don't believe in an afterlife. I want there to be an afterlife because of the comfort there. And I think that's part of my deconstruction that I've never been able to work through. And I don't know if I'll ever work through it. It's like wishful thinking for me at this point where I'm just like, I'm sure there's something after death, right? Because sometimes I'll say something mean. I mean, I say mean things a lot, but sometimes even I get in my own head where I'm like, Savannah, that might have been a little over the line. I literally like think about Jessie Lee and I'm like, that's weird woo-woo. I know it's weird woo-woo, but I don't know how to explain it. But like, despite the fact that I've been deconstructing from Christianity for however long it's been, I still find myself like in a weird like spiritual limbo sometimes. So yeah, it's weird. Robotocracy. It goes away if you really think about how horrifying it would be to actually exist forever. But I still find comfort in the idea that like if I were to die or if my husband were to die or like when my pets die or something, that I'll see them again someday, you know? That I don't know if I'll ever work through that. Yeah, it is complicated. I don't even know, like, I usually don't even know how to like express myself and say words correctly, but like this in and of itself, I'm just like, I don't even know how to explain this to you guys. I'm not like there really anymore as far as like trying to channel Jessie Lee in meditation and shit, but like I really was doing that like at first when that was all going down. It's just fucking crazy. I wouldn't call it superstitious. I think it's just deeply ingrained indoctrination, if that makes sense. Like, that's why I always say, like, with my deconstructing journey, I don't think it'll ever end. I think it's gonna be a lifetime thing. And it's so weird because the logical part of my mind doesn't believe in any of that shit. But it's still so deep in my subconscious that I still do it. I hope that makes sense. And, oh, are you relating to this? Okay, good. Because, like, this is the kind of stuff that I feel like don't say that out loud, Savannah, because people are going to think you're crazy. It's like, I'm on my mental health meds. I just, like, have them here. It's like, people are going to think I'm insane. RFK Jr. is going to send me to a wellness camp. Organized religion, man. Fucks you up. Fucks everyone up. I don't even remember what she was saying. I think, she was saying that, like, she went on a date with someone and she was telling Jessie Lee, I wish I could introduce him to you and stuff. So, like, it wasn't ever that with me. Like, I never knew Jessie Lee, you know? And in my heart, even still now, to this day, I still feel, like, connected to her in a way. Even though, like, she left one comment on my YouTube video one time and then, like, blocked me on everything. That is the extent of my interaction I've ever had with her. So it's not like we knew each other or anything, but I think her death just had such a weird fucking grip on me, and it affected me in a really weird way. So I guess my whole point is I understand where Carissa's coming from, and I can't judge her too hard, but it also is kind of strange to, like, essentially pray to somebody that you only knew for 9 months. Because I was never praying to Jessie Lee. I was just kind of like, I'm sure I had guilt when Jessie Lee passed away. I think that's why I turned off my monetization monetization on all my content about Jessie Lee for like 6 months or something like that. After she died, I turned off all the monetization on all my Jessie Lee stuff because I felt guilty taking money from it. Now I think enough time has passed that I'm not upset about it. But when it first happened, it's because this was a huge story. People were coming to my channel. Like within like the first month of Jessie Lee's passing, all my Jessie Lee content got like 10,000 views or something. So I'm glad I turned my monetization off and didn't get paid for those 10,000 views or whatever it was. My point is that like I feel like there must have been some kind of guilt associated with that. So I think like when I have tried to like channel her, it was maybe a guilt response. I don't know. Sorry. We can keep watching. Enough about me and my dumb shit. I did follow her for years, and so many of us did. But that's also why it's so weird to me that like everyone who actually knew her and like talked to her and considered her their friend, they don't talk about her anymore. I'm like, why the fuck am I still like, I did not know this person and I still feel like connected to her in a weird way. So like how the fuck, and people who were in her life like don't talk about her anymore. That's so strange to me. Courtney does. Courtney's very special. She'll never let go of Jessie Lee.
He brought me purple orchids on our second date, which was like, and I never spoke about this, but
That's
her
my
and
favorite.
it was our
that's
favorite.
my absolute, yep. Purple
Yeah.
orchids specifically, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it didn't work out with him, but it was also a reminder, like, hey, you keep saying you got to live your life.
It's very
and you're blocking
parasocial.
this whole other piece of yourself, which is being open to receiving love. And
Right.
I really think it was just her going, hey, I heard you. I'm proud of you.
Oh.
She's saying that like she went on a date with a guy and she was talking to Jessie Lee and saying like I wish I could introduce you to him, and then he brought her favorite flowers, which were also Jessie Lee's favorite flowers. So she's attributing that to being like it was a sign from Jessie Lee from the dead, basically. And that kind of, if those are the tools that you have walked away from this terrible tragedy holding on to, I feel like that's not a healthy coping mechanism. In the moment, it feels comforting, but in the same way Courtney does, it's like they look at little things and they're like, that's a sign from Jessie Lee. And to me, like if they ever have, I saw someone in the chat saying like a faith-based crisis or like falling out of their faith, letting go of those tools, if that is going to be so fucking hard. It's gonna cause more than a faith-based crisis. It's gonna cause like a full-on identity crisis. While I understand that the comfort that people find in this kind of stuff can be, can be comforting and it can be positive, it's not healthy because it's not based in reality. I hope what I'm saying makes sense because I know I'm not good at communicating when it comes to this stuff, but yeah.
Are you kind of following in her footsteps on anything, keeping anything going, or
Yeah, I really feel like it's a little bit of both. So I'm trying to keep in touch with her coaching group, just
okay.
because, we're all connected through social media. So I do
Right.
try to, pop in and, gather us for certain things. We haven't really pulled the trigger on anything yet, but
It's also interesting that her like Facebook groups and stuff are still up. I wonder how active they are though, of people who were in the Empire, because I'm pretty sure they stopped like doing trainings and stuff a while ago. I don't think they're still ongoing doing trainings, but I guess the groups are still together and they still communicate. So
they've not lost touch of that community either. And I think
Really?
we've got, at this point, I think we've got a little under 1,000 people who are still in touch from her coaching program.
Wow.
So there's that. Jessie Lee was the only other person my daughter had met, like through me. It's like when you go over to your mom and dad's house and you bring
Right.
kids. Like it's just
Right.
a normal thing. It was kind of like that. Like I'm like, we're not going home yet. We're going to Jessie Lee's. She
Right.
knew her. She'd play with her dogs. Like
Aw.
she
She's our person too. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
It's part of your life.
right. So
Aw.
it was really that was hard too, just knowing that it affected her as well. And I didn't think twice that she would grieve
Right.
her as well, but she did. And
Oh,
so
sure.
I would
Aw. See, that's a really hard age to go through that. Even Courtney Shortney's kids, well, at least the daughter is younger, but wasn't she saying, like, right after Jessie Lee died, wasn't she saying that, like, Jessie Lee was speaking through her or something? Or Courtney was trying to convince her that Jessie Lee was speaking through her or some shit? Like, that is irresponsible parenting. I still cannot believe that happened. Carissa sounds like a rational person, at least partially, as opposed to making the shrug. I mean, anyone sounds rational when they're put up next to Courtney Shortney, dude.
So what do you have going on now? So what's in the plan?
Right now, I've started my own business in November. It was really to just free up my mind to be more creative.
Now, when you say you started your own business, are we talking 1099 contractor type of business, or are we talking like you actually started a business?
I started a cleaning business,
Oh,
and
okay.
I love it. It's my own schedule. It's my own
Your own time.
everything. Yes, and my clients are incredible.
That's very Kelsey Ray of
wonderful.
her.
It was really just like, at first it was just so I could pay my bills and like mentally heal from everything.
Right.
And it just became my business. So I'm doing that, and I'm hoping to continue to grow it. I'm not ready for it to end just yet, but the trick worked. My brain feels a little bit more active. My creative juices are flowing. And so I'm stepping back into acting and trying to find my way in the theater.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
And see, that's amazing.
She's so genuine. Yeah, I'm sure that cleaning business isn't MLM related, right? Unless she's like buying all Melaleuca products or something, or like thieves, Young Living Thieves shit, which I don't know. Maybe she could. I mean, that's a possibility, but I want to believe that this girl has enough of a brain in her beautiful little head that she doesn't follow in Jessie Lee's footsteps in that way. I feel like if you're gonna get involved with someone like Jessie Lee, as close as she was, I feel like you've probably seen some shit in the world of MLM, and I want to believe that she'd be like, I'm not getting into that. Norwexing it up, exactly. I always forget about Norwex, dude. Oh my god, is that still a thing? You never really hear about it anymore.
When Jessie Lee, did you experience, being that she was a public figure,
here we go,
were there like a lot of haters and things like that?
Oh my goodness, yes.
I'm just so curious now that you're telling me so much about her. Like, how would she handle that?
I can tell you, she would get on a live stream and yell at us. I'm really interested to hear what Carissa says, but in my experience, she'd be on a live stream, and if there's a hater in the chat, she'd start yelling. In one of my videos, I think it was before her cancer diagnosis, but during the entire Colombia trip, me and I don't remember who all was in there, but it was myself and a few other anti-MLM creators. We were in the chat being like, yeah, so are you gonna like own up to kidnapping your team? Basically, I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I have that all documented on one of my videos about Jessie Lee, because I like screen recorded the chat and everything, and it was funny for the most part. But she was like, she got so mad. She was so unnecessarily mean and lied so much. I only know that from the dream. I mean, the dream was one thing, but she was really nasty outside of that too. Like, I think the dream was just a blip in who Jessie Lee was, because like we saw that side of her a lot. There were a few times when she definitely overstepped. Who, Jessie Lee? Yeah. Oh, definitely. Get on a live and yell and gaslight and try to rewrite history from her own damn videos. Yeah. She would literally, like, for the Columbia situation, she got on, and the reason any of us like freaked out about it is because of Jessie Lee's own words. We're like, hey, what you're saying? Like, that sounds like straight up kidnapping, false imprisonment or something. Like, what? And then when we all started talking about it, suddenly it was like, I never said this. I never said that. I never said that. That was my number one in my top fails of 2023 video, was the Columbia trip with Jessie Lee. And I believe I had a little montage in there of her saying something, and then like on the next live stream, she was like, no, I didn't say that. And then I would put the proof and then like juxtapose the two together. So there were a lot of moments like that with Jessie Lee where it's just like literally trying to rewrite history and being like, nope, you guys are just haters and trolls. She tried to delete the original Columbia live stream, but like, it's on the internet. The internet's forever. We all have it. So JLW fighting haters always gave that's my opinion. Yeah. I would say, I mean, even worse than that, really, because she was just so confidently bigoted. She didn't give a shit. But at the same time, I really do think that Jessie Lee believed everything that came out of her mouth. I really do. Let's see. How does Carissa think? How is she going to explain how Jessie Lee would handle us haters? And again, keep in mind, we are the haters that she's talking about here. Us haters are the ones who really ultimately saw her being in the most unhealthy state of her life, even before her cancer diagnosis. We were all the ones to express concern and be like, shit, I hope she pulls her head out of her ass and starts taking this seriously. She obviously never did. We're really the ones who wanted better for her when the rest of everyone in her life was just like pumping her full of shit, just using her for money and clout in her final days. And meanwhile, the rest of us were like, Jessie Lee, do chemo, listen to your doctors, please.
What?
Nothing. It
She
was just yeah.
Didn't acknowledge it.
Oh, really?
No, actually, she is just the strongest person I've ever met. I'm sure in some ways.
You're really gonna sit here and be like, no, she didn't acknowledge us all. We have video proof of her yelling at us on a live stream. Like, please.
It affected her, but she would like watch it sometimes and she'd laugh and she had like
She would laugh. I mean, well, no, she would watch our stuff. That is so fascinating to me. Okay, I mean, we all knew that Jessie Lee would watch anti-MLM content because the first video I made about her, she commented on it. That was back when I used to blur people's faces. So I had her face blurred, and I think her comment was something like, "Hi, I love this. Unblur my face, la la la," or something like that. I'm just like, okay, yeah, no. Meanwhile, of course, we know that she watched Chelsea's content because she sent her a cease and desist, trying to get her to shut up. So Carissa's gonna sit up here and be like, Jessie Lee didn't care. She was so strong. Sometimes she would watch and laugh. Okay, then why are you trying to shut people up legally? You know, like she did that. That is the first cease and desist letter, I'm pretty sure, that Chelsea received. She fucking framed it. She still has it in all of her videos in the background as a point of pride, but now I think it's probably still kind of like a strange memorial piece to Jessie Lee in a way. Don't sit up here like you are the second coming of Jessie Lee. You're trying to rewrite history right now, and it's just she had me blocked for years. I have a private profile. Yeah, I was blocked too. I was blocked on TikTok, which I never like interacted with her on TikTok. She went out of her way to block me on TikTok.
like this roaring like cackle. Like she
Really?
would just laugh and laugh. And I was like, I watched it and I got angry and you're laughing. Like, how are you so mentally strong?
Right.
But
right.
most of the time, you know, she knew it existed. Every now and
Mhm.
then she'd, you know, watch this or that. And most of the time she'd just laugh, or she'd be like, I don't know how they have that much time because like, I don't have any
Like, I
room."
wish I did.
Yeah, she
I mean, this is my job. So the same 8 hours that these people had to go do generally good work for society, I just sit here on my ass and I talk shit. That's my job. So that's how I have time to do it. I think it's the same for like Chelsea and basically anyone who's like, how do you have the time? I mean, aren't you the people who are always preaching time freedom and working from home and shit? That's what I'm doing. That's how I have the time.
I'd be like, well, do I have room on my schedule to blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, no, you really don't, because like you're booked. You don't have time to respond. Like
Yeah.
she handled it very well with grace. And
Great.
I think at the end of the day, it's just, you know, the way you view it. Like
Right.
any press is good press, or, you know,
That's what they say.
It's just
All
more,
right, Jessie Lee.
and it worked in her favor a lot of the times, which is kind of funny because when people are trying to
That's what they
hate
all
on you, they're
say.
trying to bring you down. And a
Right.
lot of times it would backfire. Like she did this podcast with
Here
her
we go.
partner,
Jay Marie.
and the haters were like getting everyone to watch it, I guess.
You think the reason that people listen to the Dream podcast is because of us haters? Wasn't the Dream like one of the bigger podcasts on podcast platforms and stuff when it was coming out? Like, it's a great podcast. I got nothing to do with the success of that damn podcast, all right? I don't know, it's just so weird. Like, she did this podcast interview and the haters were trying to get people to watch it. I don't know. We didn't have to do any of that shit. Maybe they're talking about the live stream, because if you guys didn't know, I'm sure there's someone in here who doesn't know this lore, but she went and did an interview with Jane Marie for The Dream a few months before she passed away, and she live streamed while she was doing the interview with Jane Marie. She live streamed it, which is so rude. She didn't tell Jane Marie she was doing that.
Couple questions because we got like 5-6 minutes left. One, I did hear all about the Colombia trip. Any more notes on that? There was like a lot of chatter on TikTok about it being kind of brutal.
Sure. Well, what have
Yeah.
you heard? I want to know about the trip because it sounds like Sounds like people
But it
on
was
TikTok think they were on the trip.
The podcast is edited. It's not something like this that we're watching right now where they're just kind of having a conversation and that's it. The dream is very, very well produced. It took a few months to produce that episode before it came out. Like, a lot of work goes into it. So it was very, very rude for Jessie Lee to just be like, and I'm going to go ahead and live stream this to everybody. And it's like, whoa. And she ended up freaking out and like being a bitch to Jane Marie, honestly.
At 9 o'clock, you're going to do this. At 10 o'clock, you're going to do this. At 11 o'clock, like, how specific is it and how much hand holding is there? And can you give us like a little peek into what, like, the skills that you're teaching, what they are?
Sure. So it depends. So you're not going to get mindset coaching unless you're in silver. Silver is specifically for mindset, which I already described. This is exact tactics. These are high level people. I don't believe high level people need somebody to call them. Like, the thought of me hiring a coach to call me every day and tell me how to do my day, like, girl, no, I don't need that. Like, I'm highly motivated. I'm highly inspired. I'm highly excited about my life. I've never needed somebody to say, hi, okay, now let's have a miracle morning and let's move our body and let's drink some water and let's brush our teeth and let's now go to the kitchen and make our juice. No.
Must be
like,
nice,
you're
Jessie
looking for a babysitter.
Must be nice. I am. I'm looking for like a babysitter or a wife.
Well, then you
I'm
need
also a
an
single
assistant.
mom.
You don't need a coach. You need an assistant.
That's true. All right. Is there anything else that I'm missing or that you want to talk about before we end the call here?
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay.
If you're gonna say we tried to get people to watch it, aka we covered it in our content, like, is that what you're trying to say? Yep, we did, because it was a fucking train wreck, dude. Jessie Lee didn't know that the dream was like anti-MLM.
I was like, oh, they're anti-MLMers.
Oh, Carissa's the one who set it up for her, right?
Thanks to your assistant as well for helping us coordinate this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Carissa's the best.
Okay.
You should get a Carissa, but not my Carissa.
I need a Carissa.
She's
Exactly.
mine. Although she does not
Okay.
tell me when to wake up or to brush my teeth or any of those things.
Is she in the background there?
Of course. She's Carissa. She's ready to tell me that it's time to brush my teeth.
Hi, Carissa.
So I'd like to first of all say I'm really glad we asked about defamation in their little contract.
What probably happened is they just saw that it was a really popular podcast, saw the numbers and saw how many followers they had and saw Jane Marie and was just like, oh wow, she's got a lot of followers, like this will be great for publicity, without really even listening to one singular episode to find out what it was actually about. Jane Marie was so nice. She was very graceful. You want to talk about handling shit with grace? Jane Marie handled shit with grace. Carissa may absolutely have set it up. This might be a defense mechanism. Well, I specifically remember this being like a talking point with it. Like, her stupid assistant didn't even check to see what kind of podcast it was. She just signed her up for it, which makes sense. That is the kind of thing that Carissa would be scheduling for Jessie Lee. She really went on there thinking she was like talking herself up. She was on there to like be like a celebrity guest basically. And what it really was Jane Marie was covering Jessie Lee like as a MLM guru, which would have been really obvious if any of them had listened to even one singular episode of the dream. So maybe Carissa is just like being super defensive, or like not even being defensive, she's just kind of like leaving out a lot just to like preserve her own reputation. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, defend this hater podcast to us and how it totally wasn't your fault, Carissa.
The woman's podcast that she did, that episode ranked number 2 in the country. Like,
yes.
I'm like, this is backfiring.
That's
you guys don't
awesome.
understand.
No, it was like not good. It was not good for her. You think that was backfiring? It was like negative towards her. And you're gonna sit there and call this a win? I'm sorry. Girl, sit down. What a fucking joke. Let's talk about Delulu for a minute. You know, I've been giving Carissa so much, like, space here, I think, just to be like, okay, she's got a good head on her shoulders. Maybe her tools that she's using to, like, cope with all of this aren't the most healthiest that they possibly could be. But, you know, she seems like she's not super delusional. Nope, you know what? I take it all back. I think she's a delusional mess. She really, truly believes that all turned out for the better for her and Jessie Lee.
She handled it really well. And that's something that I I'm still.
Didn't that episode come out after she passed away? You can't say she handled it well. She never got to hear the podcast. Days after the debut of the season, Jessie Lee Ward, who was featured in episodes 1 and 9, passed away after a short battle with cancer. She may have gotten to hear episode 1, but probably not episode 9. I feel like she's feeding so much misinformation to this podcast host. This poor woman. She's just sitting here believing everything that Carissa's saying. And it's like, wait, no. You don't get to rewrite history like this. I feel like Carissa was so far removed from the MLM space and anti-MLM space, she probably only heard JL's version of all the drama. Probably, yeah, because it seems like she wasn't in MLMs before, isn't in MLMs now, and all she saw was our faces on Jessie Lee's phone whenever she decided to entertain herself with hate videos, which is also weird. Like, maybe some people can, like, sit there and watch hate shit about themselves. I can't do it. Every time I've ever tried to do it, I get, like, irrationally angry. So I just prefer to not pay attention to those things because, yeah, it's, like, not good for your mental health. That's how I see it anyway. The fact that Jessie Lee apparently would do that just for funsies, that's not normal. I just can't imagine working all the way up to my deathbed. What is that money even for? I understand there was a ton of denial in there, but it's just awful. It is sad. It's very sad. She didn't see it that way. She saw it as she's just going to continue working like she always does because she was certain she was going to beat cancer. Obviously she didn't.
I kind of transmute it into, if I wasn't meant to do something, there would be no resistance. There would be no, like, voices in the background or,
right,
you know, people jealous or whatever word they...
Oh, honey. None of us were jealous of Jessie Lee. Trust me. But you can go ahead and keep thinking that's why we were covering her. Honestly, before the cancer situation, Jessie Lee was a hot mess, and we couldn't look away from her. We covered her because she was entertaining, she was loud and outspoken, and quite honestly, easy content, and she would always get views. Like, I'm just being straight up here. That's why we covered her. When the cancer thing started, suddenly there was this whole new side to Jessie Lee. Suddenly it turned into, like, concern for us and just, like, chronicling this wild roller coaster. Once the cancer stuff kicked in, every reason we had to talk about Jessie Lee before, that shit was out the window. Suddenly she's dealing with a deadly cancer. We had been watching her just wither away for months. At this point, certainly not jealousy on that end. At that point, I think it was probably more of like a fascination. I think for some of us even too, maybe making that content was kind of like a cry for help, that hopefully she would see someone somewhere say, Jessie Lee, please, like, listen to your doctors. I'm sure some people felt that way. For me, I know it was a lot of, like, wanting to chronicle because it was very dangerous. Like, the information, she was spreading so much misinformation about cancer. And to me, that's where I think a lot of my fascination and, like, desire to continue covering her came from, was the misinformation she was spreading. But sure, Carissa, yeah, it's just because we were jealous. But even before the cancer thing, none of us were jealous. She was just a hot mess. Some people are just really easy to make content about because it's just non-stop, something new every day to talk about. That was Jessie Lee to the anti-MLM world. She was just another influencer that was so easy to make content about. Y'all had to counter all the misinformation she touted on the platform. Oh, definitely. For me, that was the biggest part of it, mixed with, you know, the fascination of, because I'm, like, really fascinated by the human body and medical stuff. Like, I could never be a doctor myself or a nurse or anything like that, but I'm fascinated by that stuff, as sad as Jessie Lee's situation was. So, now, if you want a reason why we were all, like, clinging on to Jessie Lee for content, it wasn't because we were jealous. She was an endless hole. Like a deep hole that you could just, like, spiral down into, and it was just new shit all the fucking time. She was always so angry and was always willing to pop off, right? And we love that. Lauren, just like I'm jealous of Kelsey Ray. Yeah, we're all obviously so jealous of Kelsey Ray. Like, holy shit. Living the life that Jessie Lee was living, just, like, constantly go all the time. I couldn't do it. I can't do it. I enjoy my serenity too much to do that kind of shit. Did a lot of people talk about JLW because she claimed to be the #1 network marketer? Yeah, that's probably part of it too. She's very sure of herself. She was very confident, and she would say shit like that all the time.
Authenticity makes ugly people really angry.
Oh yeah, she
and
was so authentic. Guys, we're all really ugly, and Jessie Lee was the most authentic person in the world. like I said, I think Jessie Lee absolutely believed everything she said. I don't think that she thought she was lying. I really think that she believed the shit she would say. JLW was the gift that kept on giving to y'all. She really was. And I don't want to say that about her cancer because that's fucked up, but she really, even with that, the amount of misinformation, all the crazy shit she was doing, it was just nonstop.
I think that if I'm in a room where there's none of that, I'm either like at my highest vibration, they can't reach me, or like, you know, it's just
like, shit, am I not making an impression at all? Yeah.
Oh my God, Quinn, you're right. Yeah, she literally said that this was just an act. I'm not actually like this in real life. She had Boss Lee. Boss Lee was like her alter ego, and that's the person she would put forward. But then she would also say like, no, Jessie Lee, like without Boss Lee, like I'm actually really shy and I'm actually blah, blah, blah. Boss Lee was a facade. I forgot all about that. That's a good point.
It's amazing. And you're beautiful. And now you've had all these experiences already.
Thank you.
You need to make sure you're out there talking about it for sure.
Yeah. And just spreading her message. I promised her I would, I said, I thank you for sharing your magic with me and I'll spread it everywhere I go. So I'm trying to spread the magic. I'm trying to share it.
The magic that she's spreading is all just like delusional bullshit. If there's anything that Jessie Lee would want in her afterlife is to like leave people behind who are going to continue spreading bullshit. I'm not going to sit here and say that Jessie Lee was all bad because she definitely had some moments that were relatable and like, I mean, she's human. But ultimately, like, you really can't like bury the bullshit with her because there was so much of it.
Thank you.
God, I could ask you like 5,000 different questions about her. Now I'm like intrigued. I'm like, all right, when we're done, I have to definitely look her up and read about her.
Well, hopefully she like found some anti-MLM content, dude, because I feel like if she did, she might not have posted this podcast episode though. Or she would have at least posted a disclaimer and been like, actually I found out that this girl's like a total fucking scammer. I wonder if anyone chose to forego medical cancer treatment because of JLW's advice pre-death scare. Oh, I guarantee. I absolutely guarantee. She's the one who was taking that advice from other people too. She had people all over TikTok commenting on her stuff and sending her DMs and stuff and giving her woo-woo advice. That's a lot of the reason why I think she didn't end up doing chemo, because she had so much external validation on that choice. Because she really chose to live in an echo chamber, and a hyperbaric one. I'm sure she influenced people against doctors, yeah. I want to believe that this podcast host, like, has at least a little bit of a brain, and can be like, oh shit, like, this lady wasn't this, like, magical wizard that Carissa was making her out to be. She wasn't. She thought she was. She wasn't, though. Yeah, and all the wellness MLM people sending her free shit. Yep, she got, like, a bunch of frankincense and essential oils and stuff for free from someone she knew who did doTERRA. All of the MLM stuff that supposedly helps cure cancer, like, people were sending it to her for free. Yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah.
She's left her mark, that's for sure.
I agree with that.
On TikTok and see her last TikTok. It is.
Okay.
No, it's so sad.
It'll make you cry.
Yeah, it's sad. If I remember it correctly, I think it's the one where she's like, because at the very end of the last live she did, the one where she's in the the hotel where she couldn't fucking sleep in a bed because she was in so much pain. She was saying goodbye in like a bunch of different languages or something. It is very sad though, because people are like, she knew her time was up and it was time for her to go so the rest of us could become our full potential, like all the dumb shit that Kelsey Ray was saying. It is a sad video, though. Like, all things considered, it's very sad. Oh, she does play it at the end of the podcast. Thank you, Aaron. Which is annoying because that just means that the podcast host, while she was doing post-production, probably went and looked at all of Jessie Lee's social media. Yeah, she's like, I gotta go research this girl now, and then just went to Jessie Lee's like content. You know, you're gonna get the real story if you listen to anyone other than Jessie Lee. Quite frankly.
Her last TikTok she shared, she did like a montage of goodbyes, not knowing. It's just her being silly, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Is that your favorite thing that she left as far as like a video or anything? Because I can have Kenna, maybe we can get Kenna to put it at the end of this, like in memory.
Oh, so she has an editor who did that? Okay, so maybe I don't have to blame the podcast lady host too much.
Oh, you should.
Her.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very silly. It's just her signing off. And it was her last TikTok ever.
And so she had no idea.
Nope. None of us did. Yeah. It's beautiful. And I think that that's perfect because it's really just a testament. Just be yourself. Try to feel a little joy. And
Yeah, Hannah, I don't know how anyone else can look at that final TikTok and think that it's beautiful, I guess, in a kind of like macabre way. Oh my god, my mouth. It's dark when you look at it, but I mean, sure, like some dark shit can be beautiful too. I agree. I think all of us here can admit that like it's more haunting than anything. Like it's very, I wouldn't, like beautiful is not the word I would use to describe that last TikTok. She called it silly. I know how to say macabre. It's just like my mouth couldn't say it because way was the word coming after that. It showed a woman still in denial about her upcoming death. Yeah. Jessie Lee knew and she didn't want her following to know. So she had, and I think I talked about this on the last stream, but she had some text messages that were leaked after her death, that like her final messages that she sent to this person and that person. There was like a trend thing for a minute there that all of her followers were just like, oh, this is the last message she ever sent to me. And like a lot of them were of her, well, I don't want to say a lot of them, like one or two of them at least were her saying like, the doctor says I don't have time left, like I'm scared, I don't want to die, like that kind of stuff. Like I really truly believe that she did not think that she was going to die, period. I don't think she knew, even up until the last moment.
the rest is gonna fall the way it's supposed to fall.
Where it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way to leave this.
Yeah, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
It was so.
Oh yeah, she designed what? No, she died from cancer, but like when cancer ends somebody's life, like in Jessie Lee's case, she went septic, and I think they were saying she had like kidney failure, or like her organs were failing. So you could technically say like, oh yeah, she died from organ failure, but what caused that organ failure? It was because she had stage 4 cancer. It was attacking her organs, everything started failing, and she passed away. Sepsis happens when there's an infection that gets into your bloodstream, you know, and then it kind of spreads through the rest of your body and you die from it. Yeah, that kind of stuff you could say is a complication from cancer, and that's ultimately what killed her, but the cause of all of those complications was the cancer. She died from cancer, period. It doesn't matter what these fucking people say. Afterwards, she was saying, like, her, like, Courtney and Kelsey, fucking Kelsey Ray had a lot of videos like, we don't even know what took her from us. Yeah, we fucking did, Kelsey. But yeah, there were a lot of people spreading all that misinformation saying it wasn't cancer. Nope, she died because she had a kidney infection or some shit. There was like a whole thing where she was in so much pain towards the end and she was telling everyone it was a kidney stone. And I'm like, girl, that's no kidney stone. I mean, kidney stones hurt. I've had 2 of them. I thought I was dying. That shit's very, very painful. But what she was going through was not a kidney stone. Maybe she did have a kidney stone, but it was like on top of her having the ascites or whatever, the fluid buildup and cancer attacking all of her organs and shit like that's painful. So no, there was so much misinformation. I'm not a doctor. I wasn't there with her. I don't think I need to be a doctor or have needed to be in the room with her to know what the fuck happened. Like, at that point, please.
I mean, we have to definitely have you back on down the road, too, just to see where you're at.
I would love that.
Why? No one cares. I'm being mean. I'm sorry. Someone cares about Carissa. People care about Carissa. Yeah, you're a light in this world, Carissa. But who the fuck wants to listen to another podcast of Carissa talking about herself? Like, we're here to listen to her talk about Jessie Lee, honestly. But if she's just gonna show up and be like, here's what I'm doing, I'm acting now. No one cares. That's boring, but all right.
And you always have her with you.
Absolutely.
You know, you always have that. You'll always have that little voice telling you.
Oh yeah. I mean, she wakes me up sometimes because I'm, you know, in my self-doubt and
Right.
all the darkness is consuming me. And then she's like, what are you on about?
Right.
See, that's the stuff where I'm like, Carissa, this is not a healthy coping mechanism because that is not reality. It's just not. If you're hearing voices in your head, you need to go see a professional. At the worst, it's like a medical issue that you need to have figured out. At least it's delusion, you know? Like, you're just making that shit up in your head. That's not real. I'm sorry. Point blank period, it's not real, okay?
Like, and that's how she would speak to me. She'd be like, why are you worried right now? And I'd be like,
what are you doing?
I'd be like, I don't know. And then she'd be like, okay, so stop. And then we'd figure it out. And, you know.
Carissa, that is your conscience. That's the back of your head. That is your inner dialogue. No, it's Jessie Lee. Her spirit is talking to me and asking me why I'm stressing out. Like, no, it's not. You people need to calm down.
I have to figure it out myself now. But I do. I hear her voice. I still hear her voice. Like if I'm thinking of her or I feel like she's saying something to me, it sounds like her. And I feel like that's just because she's that powerful.
I mean, that's what we could all hope for, that we leave something like that behind. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a coping mechanism.
I really did. I was not myself for...
Yeah, it's her thoughts, it's her inner dialogue. To a certain extent, I can't hate on this because, like, I used to be super religious, and I used to believe, and I think this is part of why, like, it took so long for me to realize that I actually didn't believe in any of this shit. I would confuse my own inner dialogue with God. I'd think it was God talking to me. It's just my subconscious, dude. It's just, and not everyone has an inner dialogue too. One of my best friends was like, it's weird that you have an inner dialogue and you can hear stuff and like there is a voice in my head that like narrates everything I fucking do. But it's not like schizophrenia or anything. It's just an inner dialogue. I don't know. I think a lot of people have that. Before I started deconstructing from Christianity, I thought it was God. I thought it was God guiding me, giving me advice, telling me what to do. Nope. It was just my own brain doing confirmation bias, basically. It took me a while to realize that. I think that's what you're experiencing, Carissa. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for it, but maybe talk to a professional. A secular professional, you know, secular therapy might be really good.
All right, honey. Well, I appreciate you. And I know there's a lot of people that will take something from this.
Good. I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hello, how are ya? It's Jessie Lee, and welcome to this episode of Jessie Lee Heals Holistically from stage 4 colorectal cancer.
Yeah, so this is her last TikTok. This is the hotel room. So, like, right behind her is the bed where Aviram would sleep in, and right next to that is, like, a recliner, and that's where she would sleep, because she was in so much pain she couldn't lay down. I understand what people say when they say, like, Jessie Lee didn't look like a sick person. You'd never know she was sick, because she does have a lot of energy. She's wearing makeup, you know, like, oh, wow. I'm looking at her, though, and, like, her face is, like, a normal color, but doesn't her neck look more yellow? I'm telling you guys, this was like a week before she passed away, and that's what's really wild about it. Like, it happened really fast, but I do understand when people say, like, no, she didn't look sick, she didn't act sick. She didn't, but she was, you know.
I'm your host, crazy cool Jessie Lee. Okay, so in all seriousness, I only picked this person's comment because they are saying something about the results or whatever. So I have no idea what they're talking about a biopsy. There's nothing to biopsy. So
there's nothing to biopsy, she said. She had tumors. Like, they weren't biopsying. But she, like, the way she said that, it made it sound like, oh, I don't have any cancer. There's nothing, there's no growths anywhere to biopsy. What? Like, I don't know.
Hello. I am coming to you live from California. And I just wanted to tell you, my doctor called after 8 days today to give me my PET scan results. And if you've been following along, you might have noticed that maybe I'm not posting as frequently. A large portion of that is that I'm in pain. I've been talking a lot about it in my Instagram stories, and I think I've talked about it on some TikToks here, but my stomach hurts here. I feel super distended. My kidneys, they feel fine right now. I took Tylenol about 2 hours ago. But they hurt. When I sleep, I don't really sleep. I flop and I flip like a fish all night long. I'm getting like 3.5 hours of sleep, which is not good for recovery, so I'm freaking out. I don't have my dogs in California, which is a crime. And anytime I travel, I feel so out of tune, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so used to having my juicer and my regimen and my clinics I go to and whatever, and I'm here in California for treatment. I'm not like partying, but I feel like I don't have everything that I need, even though I have everything I technically need. Make sense? So anywho, this is week 2 of treatment out here straight, which means not my dogs, which depresses me. But my doctor finally called today after my PET scan last Monday. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, if you're watching this.
Okay, September 5th. She passed away, I want to say the 16th. So this was 11 days before she died. Like, this person's going to be dead in less than 2 weeks. Like, you wouldn't see... I could totally, you know, anyone who maybe wasn't following so close and knowing, like, all the shit she was going through, you wouldn't look at her and be like, oh, she's about to be on her deathbed, you know? So I get it. I understand why people say that. But ultimately, she was just really, really good at faking it.
And
it is haunting.
And I think part of me is still in shock. So I don't know if that's like normal for cancer people's. You guys will have to tell me in the comments, but like, I'm gonna cry again. I can feel it coming. Yeah, but I've cried like on and off about it. But like, even when I was on the actual phone with the oncologist, and I have visualized this to be something where like, anytime I get good news, I like burst out in tears, and it didn't happen. But I will update you. So I got really good news today, everybody. So my doctor called me and he said that many of my lymph nodes have gone back to their original size with no evidence of disease in them. The ones that still remain have decreased in size. There is no mass on my right ovary anymore. That is literally gone, so praise God.
Didn't she say she like felt it explode or something? Like, that was a thing. She's like, suddenly, like, this mass, like, it hurt so bad, and then the pain was gone, and then she's saying it's gone. Like, I don't know. I remember that was a thing. Yeah.
And he says, just schedule another PET scan in about 6 months. I'll see you then. If you don't know, and you're new to this channel, I was told now that I have less than 30 days left to live. And I was just told by my traditional oncologist at Texas Oncology, who reads my scans and orders my scans for me, I don't know, see you in 6 months.
With hindsight, looking back on this, it's obvious that that guy was just essentially like, if you're still around in 6 months, I'll see you in 6 months. I think she misread this. If it gave her comfort at the end, fine. Just another brick on the building of delusional, you know? Like, it's just like more shit that kept her believing until the very, very end that she was fighting all this off. That's also true, Melissa. She was so inconsistent with her story. Who knows what's true and what's not? Yeah. I wonder what really happened there. Surely it wasn't like that in reality. I think, honestly, I think what happened, I'm sure the doctor said, all right, we'll schedule out for another 6 months or whatever. But if he's just reading the scans and literally just being like, here's what I see you in 6 months, basically, like, at this point, that oncologist was not like her regular, he wasn't providing any care for her. He was just doing the scans and telling her what he saw. That's what my understanding was. She said she didn't want to do all the traditional or the modern medicine stuff, but she did ask one of the oncologists, like, if I, like, can I still come see you for scans and you can give me, like, scans and stuff? And I think that's the arrangement they had worked out. I'm pretty sure. I hate saying this, but I truly miss her energy. Hated her scamming, but her energy is magnetic. I agree. I always felt like that. Anytime I ever covered her, people would comment and be like, oh, I can't stand her, da da da. I'm like, I kind of like her because she's loud and obnoxious, and so am I. So, like, I felt like kind of magnetically attracted to that kind of energy. I mean, there's a fine line between like loud and obnoxious and still like fun to be around, and then loud and obnoxious and just like shut the fuck up. But I never really got that from Jessie Lee. It was always just like, I don't know. I did appreciate her energy, but I know there are a lot of people who don't see it that way.
Like, I'm in shock. I should be bawling again for the 15th time right now. Like, wow. So all of this is working. All this holistic stuff is working. I do look healthier. I thought I looked healthier, but now it's confirmed. I do notice my hair growth is crazy. My nails have grown a lot. I just think I was so scared because I was in so much fucking pain. So, cancer die-off is a real thing that no...
Okay, it's not a real thing from my understanding. But so she, towards the end, was in all this pain. She was believing it was because the cancer was dying off and causing pain and like the toxins leaving her body or whatever, and she's gonna be on the upswing after this. And it's like, I'm serious, like, she believed this shit till the end. It wasn't cancer die off, it was literally just cancer. It's just so sad.
No one really talks about when the cancer cells die, they get angry, apparently. So I'm experiencing some anger in my stomach and back regions. But that's about it, my cancer-free friends. So I'm not yet at no evidence of disease. That is obviously the goal, but this is a huge milestone, big mile marker. I feel like I'm rubbing lymph nodes, by the way, for everyone. What is she doing? It's just one of the first days I feel like I can breathe in a really long time. And so that's my update. Do you guys like my non-toxic nail polish? Isn't it so cute? Jess Stoney sent it to me. It's from Senegens. All right.
It's from Senegens.
Bye. Thanks for following. Okay, toodaloo kangaroo. After a while, crocodile. Catch you on the flip side. Sayonara, suckers. Cheerio. Gotta run, buttercup.
Bye.
So, hey, we finally made it to the end of that. It only took 3 streams to get there. The way Carissa was talking about that last video, being like, watch it, it's so beautiful. I do not see it that way at all. I think that was the most depressing fucking thing I think I've watched in a long time. And obviously, like, I've seen that video before. No matter how much time goes by, it's still so haunting. 11 days after that video, she passed away. 11 fucking days. It's not beautiful, to me anyway, to see a human being with stage 4 cancer, convincing herself that she is healing, convincing herself that, oh, it's just cancer cells dying. That's why I'm in so much pain. But then it's so sad because, yeah, that last moment of her, like, sayonara, whatever, like, yeah, okay, like, I don't think she did that because she knew she was gonna die. Like, just like Carissa said, she was just being silly. That was her being her. And I think it was. Because Jessie Lee did have moments where she would just be silly like that. I don't think that it was meant to be like, I know I'm dying and this is my last message to everybody. I really don't think that. I can understand why people do. Oh, hi, Pee-Pee. I think that also might be like kind of a coping mechanism. Yeah, it's sad to see the denial. It's sad to see someone so hopeful and knowing the outcome. Real quick before we end it here, guys, I just want to say thank you to my patrons and my members. The list of names I'm about to read off are my financial supporters. They get access to things like our private Discord server. We have a postcard club, early access to videos sometimes if I can get them out to you, and sometimes even more than that. So if any of that sounds good to you, you can go to patreon.com/SavannahMarie, or you can click the join button beneath this video to get access to my YouTube memberships. Whatever platform you want to work on works for me if it works for you. So with that, the biggest thank you in the whole wide world goes to Hula Chowdown, Jacqueline Nutton, Kessie Drew, KJ Barnes, Leanne, Marie Silver, Caroline Reed, Daniel Urena, Maddie Darley, Ray, Stephanie Mayfield, Emily Jean, Miss Blue, Hannah Moe, Alex Gollum, Love to Be Evil, AJC, Liz Sahu, Char City Gaming, Evan Adler, Kelsey Nicole, LaSalle Story, Fluffy Duck Butt 24 Elaine, Ferd Turgeson Esquire, Just Mark, Baby Pink Pearl, Alice Wagner, Fallon Harris, Jessica Billhart, and Emion. And to the rest of my financial supporters, thank you so much for being here and being you. And even if you're not a financial supporter, just making it to the end of this video means a lot to me. Coming up soon, we're going to be covering Nueva, which is a brand new MLM that has been attacking other anti-MLM creators, and I'm going to take a swing at them. So as soon as I get that all researched and filmed and uploaded, it'll be here for you to watch. But until then, I will see you later.